Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is part 1 of our story. If you like this what if story and want to see part 2, let me know in the comments below. Before we start, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Also, check the description for more great content and my playlist. This story was posted by 𝗵𝗃𝗃 on Wattpad. Now let's start. Formerly known as Izuku Yagi, now Ikki Kurogane, he was 18 years old and possessed the powerful quirk known as One for All. His appearance had transformed after gaining the sword, and he wore the Black Knight armor adorned with a curse mark that spread across his body each time he wielded the sword. Ikki was a student at UA, cherishing his adoptive family, friends, girlfriend, daughter, and mentors, while harboring resentment towards the Yagi, Bakugo, and Todoroki families, except for Tuya and Fuyumi. He admired heroes like Mihawk, Shanks, Sirius, Aizawa, Nezu, and Stain. Mihawk, aged 45 and the world's #1 hero, along with his friend and rival Sirius 𝗵𝗲𝗄, traveled to Japan to retrieve the cursed sword Inetsu. However, they arrived too late, discovering that Izuku had already formed a bond with the sword. Understanding that Izuku's negative emotions could lead to the sword's demise over him, Mihawk and his wife decided to adopt him, aiming to provide him with a positive life and training him to become a hero. Nico Robin, 35 years old and a librarian, learned about Izuku's past from her husband Mihawk. She felt sorrow for his experiences as an outcast and was determined to ensure he had a happy life, nurturing him into a smart young man. Sirius, also 4'5" and the #1 hero of France, was deeply affected by Izuku's treatment and sought to help him escape his tormentors, ensuring he had a fulfilling life. He grew close to Izuku, who he affectionately called Ikki, and was happy to see his daughter bringing joy to him. 𝗬𝗵𝗲𝗄, 48 years old and a head nurse, became a devoted aunt to Izuku, healing the scars from his past abuse. She had a fierce demeanor when angered. 𝗬𝗵𝗲𝗄, 24 and the #4 hero of France, took on a big sister role for Izuku, teaching him the art of swordsmanship and the importance of fighting for a cause rather than out of anger. 𝗬𝗵𝗲𝗄, 18 and a UA student, met Izuku after her father returned with him. Unable to say his name, she affectionately called him Ikki, a name he grew to love. She helped him believe in love again, despite her 𝗬𝗪 nature. Shanks, 55 and known as the red-haired demon, became a mentor to Ikki, teaching him the balance between seriousness and carefree enjoyment. He instilled confidence in Ikki, encouraging him to stand strong against adversity. Yuta, 21 and a talented singer, was Shanks' daughter and played a pivotal role in helping Izuku embrace friendship and express his emotions through song. Ikki's rival, Kurado Kurashiki, 18 and known as the Demon King, first crossed paths with him at their rivalry sparked a series of battles, each seeking to prove their strength. Kurado planned to join the League of Villains but vowed to protect Ikki from anyone who threatened him. As the narrative unfolds, a young boy, Izuku Yagi, was seen running away, injured and hiding behind bushes. He peeked out to see a girl resembling him and 2 others approaching. They called out to him, insisting he could not hide forever and that he needed to accept his fate. Left alone, Izuku lay on the ground, feeling frustrated and abandoned. His life had been a nightmare since being diagnosed as quirkless at the age of 4. His parents neglected him, favoring his sister, and he faced bullying from her and her friends. Despite the hardships, he found solace in the love of his uncles, aunties, and grandparents, who cared for him when they could. Izuku sensed a guardian angel watching over him, as mysterious gifts and healing appeared in times of need. One day, he felt a calling and discovered an entrance to a cave he had never seen before. Meanwhile, Mihawk and Sirius were alerted to the presence of someone in the cave and rushed to investigate. As Izuku ventured deeper, he felt an ominous presence surrounding him. At the center of the cave, he found a sword, the Inetsu, bound in chains, and felt an inexplicable intrigue towards it. Izuku approached the sword, feeling a surge of power as he touched it. The chain binding it began to break, and he sensed an ominous presence watching him. A mysterious figure spoke, revealing that after centuries of imprisonment, it was now free but bound to Izuku. It intended to consume him and take over his body. As the figure began to influence Izuku, his green eyes turned black, his hair straightened and darkened, and his distinctive freckles vanished. The figure proclaimed its ambition to rule the world. Suddenly, another presence intervened, placing a mark on Izuku and sealing the dark force within him. Izuku slipped into unconsciousness. When he awoke, he saw a man with white curly hair and blue eyes. This man lifted Izuku and carried him outside the cave. As he did, Izuku faintly heard the man express regret for what had happened to him, but he couldn't catch the rest before losing consciousness again. The man laid Izuku down in the grass and then took a copy of Izuku's original body, breaking its neck and placing it near a tree. Hearing footsteps approaching, he quickly hid, concealing the body as two figures arrived. Shanks expressed frustration at their timing, realizing the sword had bonded with a child. Sirius noted that the sword should have corrupted him, questioning what had happened. Shanks speculated that someone strong must have intervened, while Mihawk suggested that the sword had been sealed within Izuku to contain its power. Sirius pointed out the boy's injuries, some of which seemed older, implying he might have run away from an abusive situation. Shanks insisted they should take Izuku back to their hotel to learn more about the incident and explain the situation to his parents. As they left, the mysterious man emerged from hiding, smiling at the scene. He hoped these new companions would provide Izuku with the hope and family he deserved. He vowed to protect him from the shadows until the time came for their inevitable confrontation. Izuku was unaware that his life was about to change for the better. He would find new friends who would accept him for who he was, even with the cursed sword bonded to him. Later, Sirius and Mihawk sat in front of the boy, who had undergone a significant transformation. As Izuku stirred awake, he groaned and rubbed his eyes, confused about his surroundings. Sirius informed him that he was in their hotel room and that they had found him. Izuku immediately asked about the sword, and Mihawk explained that it was still within him. Izuku was shocked to learn he had a sword inside him and worried it might be dangerous. Mihawk reassured him to stay calm and listen. He introduced himself as myheroacademia, while Sirius introduced himself as 𝗵𝗵𝗃𝗄. Izuku, excited, acknowledged them as the number one hero and bowed, impressed by their identities. Curious about the sword, Izuku asked for an explanation. Mihawk described the Inetsu as a cursed sword that grants immense power but gradually consumes the wielder, transforming them into something inhuman. Izuku felt despair at the thought of being unable to remove the sword, lamenting his fate. He shared his painful past, revealing that he had been diagnosed as quirkless and neglected by his parents. He had learned to fend for himself from a young age, doing everything alone and working hard just to survive. Sirius expressed anger at the treatment Izuku had received, while Mihawk asked about any siblings. Izuku mentioned his sister and her friends, who had bullied him and discouraged his dreams of becoming a hero. Mihawk pointed out that his sister was not truly supportive, and Izuku agreed. When asked about his appearance, Izuku described his green curly hair, green eyes, and diamond-shaped freckles, only to realize they had vanished. Mihawk explained that the Inetsu alters the user's appearance. As they took a break to watch TV, a breaking news report caught their attention. The reporter announced that the son of the number one hero, All Might, and the number 4 hero, Extreme, had been found dead, showing footage of All Might trying to comfort a distraught Inko. Izuku, shocked, wondered if the mysterious figure was responsible for this tragedy. Sirius and Mihawk exchanged glances, realizing the implications of Izuku's connection to the events unfolding around him. Izuku had always believed that his uncle or aunt was watching over him, but now he felt a different presence, one he likened to a guardian angel. He had been saved just before the cave collapsed after retrieving the sword. Mihawk asked him to describe the person who had helped him. The only details Izuku could recall were the white curly hair, blue eyes, and freckles that resembled his own. Mihawk pondered aloud, suggesting that this sounded like All for One, the world's number one villain, and wondered why he would be interested in a child like Izuku. Sirius chimed in, expressing concern that if people discovered Izuku was the son of such a notorious figure, he would be hunted by both villains and heroes. Mihawk then asked Izuku what his next steps would be. Izuku felt uncertain but realized that everyone believed he was dead. This presented an opportunity for him to change his name and start anew. Sirius questioned whether Izuku could do it alone, to which Izuku affirmed he could. Mihawk proposed adopting Izuku along with his wife, explaining that both he and his wife understood loneliness and wanted to help him. Sirius added that they could teach him how to control Inetsu and 𝗬𝗪𝗧𝗧 its incredible power, suggesting that even with a cursed sword, he could become a hero. They encouraged him to accept their offer, assuring him that with their support, he could achieve his dream. Izuku agreed, and Mihawk informed him that they would be leaving the next morning. He cautioned Izuku not to tell anyone from his past, emphasizing the need for safety. Izuku understood that his loved ones would be saddened and angry, but he believed this was the best choice for everyone involved. Meanwhile, the hero commissioner arrived home, removed her shoes, and headed to the kitchen for a drink. After taking a sip, she addressed 𝗬𝗏, who had come to discuss matters regarding All Might's supposed deceased son. 𝗬𝗏 revealed documents indicating that the boy was not All Might's son, but rather his own. The commissioner was shocked to learn that 𝗬𝗏 had faked his son's death and had evidence of neglect and bullying from his ex-wife and her family. 𝗬𝗏 expressed his longing for justice against those who had wronged his son and sought assurance that they would be punished. The commissioner agreed, but 𝗬𝗏 had a more significant request. He wanted his son to be trained as a hero by Mihawk, despite knowing that her superiors might oppose it. He offered valuable information about the whereabouts of the top villains in exchange for keeping his son's identity a secret. As the conversation concluded, 𝗬𝗏 declared that he wanted his children to pursue their dreams and live happy lives, emphasizing that a true parent supports their children's aspirations. He vanished, leaving the commissioner to contemplate the implications of Izuku being the youngest of the trio. In a different scene, Izuku stood before a private plane that would take him far away to start anew. He looked at Mihawk and Sirius, acknowledging that this was the beginning of his journey. Mihawk assured him that he would return stronger than ever, even more powerful than All Might. Sirius encouraged him to speak from his heart as they prepared to depart. Izuku boarded the plane, glancing back at the city and clenching his fists, vowing to return and prove himself. As the plane took off, a figure stood atop a building, watching it leave. A tear fell from his face as he expressed confidence that his son would return stronger and fulfill his destiny as a hero. Meanwhile, the Yagi family faced scrutiny from Nizu and the UA staff, alongside the Bakugo and Todoroki families. Nizu confronted them about neglecting Izuku for years and the bullying he had endured. Aizawa condemned their actions, while others echoed the sentiment that they did not deserve to be heroes. He really enjoyed it after receiving the smile he wanted to protect, but now he felt helpless. Midnight expressed a longing for vengeance but recognized that it would ruin her life. All Might was confronted about his role as a father. GT reminded him of the significance of being quirkless, while RG declared that he would no longer heal All Might. All Might acknowledged his past mistakes regarding his son, but a voice interjected, stating that the boy wasn't truly his son. Hero Commissioner Nizu arrived, questioning why she was present. She revealed that she had conducted a DNA test on Izuku Midoriya, discovering that All Might was not his father. Inko listened intently, and All Might insisted that love, not BLD, defines fatherhood. The commissioner challenged him, asking if he had ever shown Izuku love, to which All Might had no answer. She continued, revealing that Izumi was Inko's daughter and not Izuku's twin sister. Izumi was stunned to learn that they were merely step-siblings, and their appearances had been altered to prevent suspicion. She lamented that she could have married Izuku, but Inko reminded her that she couldn't be in love with her brother. Izumi felt the weight of regret, believing it was her fault that he was gone. The commissioner informed Endeavor and All Might that a significant portion of their paychecks would be directed to Nizu, who would ensure it was used appropriately. Mr. and Mrs. Bakugo were informed of their hefty charges, to which they complied. The commissioner laid out the conditions for the children to attend UA. They would have to wear anti-quirk bracelets, complete 8 years of community service, and attend therapy. Any misstep would result in being blacklisted from all schools. The kids agreed to the terms, and the commissioner instructed everyone to leave as she needed to speak with Nizu and the others. Once the families departed, the commissioner revealed that Izuku was alive. Aizawa questioned her, and she explained that the body in the morgue was a fake. The real Izuku was alive and had bonded with the Inetsu sword. Nizu identified the sword as a cursed weapon that could lead its wielder into darkness and 𝗬𝗪𝙢𝗍 away their humanity. The commissioner confirmed that the sword was sealed within Izuku, meaning it would take time for it to cause harm. Midnight asked how he was alive, and the commissioner revealed that his father, 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗲 Midoriya, had helped him. GT inquired about 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗲, and the commissioner clarified that he was also known as 𝗬𝗵𝗃𝗲. Everyone was shocked by this revelation. Nizu expressed concern about 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗲 still being alive, and the commissioner presented documents proving Izuku's lineage with a 100% DNA match. GT worried about 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗲's intentions, but the commissioner reassured them that he was with Mihawk and Sirius, who would help him control his powers. Aizawa asked if she intended to stop Izuku from becoming a hero, but she explained that she had made a deal with 𝗬𝗵𝗃𝗲. GT was skeptical, but the commissioner insisted that 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗲 was not the same man they once knew. Something had changed in him. Nizu speculated that this deal might involve the arrest of several villains, and the commissioner confirmed that 𝗬𝗵𝗃𝗲 had provided their locations, leading to their capture. However, he requested that his 3 children be left alone, emphasizing that he wanted Izuku to be a hero. RG noted the irony of 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗲 being a villain to the world but a father to his children. The commissioner warned that if Izuku revealed his new identity and if Endeavor and All Might tried to intervene, they would face dire consequences. GT understood the gravity of the situation, and the commissioner urged everyone to ensure Izuku's safety until he returned. Midnight expressed her sadness at not being able to see him for years but felt relief knowing he had someone to protect him. Nizu suggested they wait, and everyone felt a sense of hope knowing they would see Izuku again soon. In the next chapter, Izuku woke up to find Mihawk enjoying a drink while Sirius ate. Mihawk greeted him, and Sirius offered him pancakes and milk, which he happily accepted. After a few hours, they arrived in Paris, France, and exited the private airplane. As they passed through customs, they spotted 4 girls waiting for them. The 2 red-haired girls rushed to Sirius, who greeted them warmly. 𝗬𝗪𝗢 inquired about the boy and the Inetsu sword, and Mihawk explained that they were too late to retrieve it, as it had bonded with Izuku. They drove home in silence, with Izuku conversing with Mihawk while Robin observed her husband's small smile. This brought her joy, as she felt like she had a son, even if she couldn't have children of her own. Upon arriving home, Mihawk introduced Izuku to his new surroundings, but Robin playfully reminded him that he wasn't allowed to call it his home just yet. Izuku arrived home, greeted by Robin, who informed him that she would be his new mom. She expressed her belief that his parents would be happy he had a new family. Mihawk suggested they go inside, and they all settled down, with Izuku sitting next to Sirius. Mihawk explained that Izuku had found the sword by accident while hiding. 𝗬𝗪𝗢𝗍 inquired why, and Izuku shared that after being diagnosed as quirkless, his parents had forgotten about him and erased him from their lives. He had to fend for himself. Nico reacted with anger, and Mihawk revealed that it was All Might and his wife who had neglected him. 𝗬𝗪𝗢𝗍 called them evil, and Izuku recounted how his sister and her friends bullied him with their quirks because he aspired to be a hero. Luna Eyes remarked that such behavior was not sisterly, and Izuku agreed. He explained that after running away, he stumbled into a cave where the sword seemed to call to him. When he touched it, the cave began to collapse, and he felt a man with white hair and blue eyes saving him. Robin questioned why 𝗬𝗵𝗃𝗲 would save him, and Mihawk noted that Izuku's appearance had changed since then. Robin recalled that they had said All Might's son had died. Sirius pointed out that it was likely a fake body, and they were unsure of the reasons behind it. Izuku speculated that it might be the person who always left him things when he needed them. 𝗬𝗪𝗢𝗍 asked what would happen next, and Mihawk explained that the power was sealed. Nico noted that it was a strong sealing quirk, possessed by only one person. Izuku declared his intention to 𝗬𝗪𝗢𝗍 and control this power, even if it felt like a curse, to prove that one does not need a quirk to be a hero, just a heart. Luna Eyes commented on his determination, and Stella playfully scolded him for having a hard name to pronounce, suggesting he should be called Ikki instead. Izuku accepted the new name, and Mihawk agreed, although he warned that Izuku could not take his last name due to the dangers it might bring. Izuku shared a story he had read about a knight named Kurogane who sought peace, and he decided to adopt the name Ikki Kurogane. This made him smile, and Stella blushed at his happiness, which caught the attention of her family, who found it adorable. Ikki asked Mihawk when they would begin training, and Mihawk replied that they needed to ensure he was settled first. Robin noted that Ikki had not brought any clothing, prompting her to use her quirk to gather him and her purse for shopping. Ikki protested against sailor outfits, and Robin agreed to avoid them. 𝗬𝗪𝙢𝗎𝗍 and Stella left the two men alone. Mihawk wondered why 𝗬𝗏 had not come to retrieve his son, while Sirius speculated that he had ample opportunity to bring Ikki to his side but had not done so. Suddenly, 𝗬𝗏 appeared, revealing that he did not want his son to follow in his footsteps. Mihawk demanded to know what he wanted, and 𝗬𝗏 explained that Ikki was not alone. He had two older siblings, a brother and a sister. Mihawk urged him to continue, and 𝗬𝗏 disclosed that he had taken Ikki's quirk away because it was too dangerous, even stronger than his own. Sirius asked about One for All, and 𝗬𝗏 claimed that Ikki's quirk was even stronger than that, calling it void. Meanwhile, Ikki was pressured to try on various outfits, but he refused many of them. He was grateful for the new clothes he received. He thought to himself that this new life would be good. Izuku Yagi, now Ikki Kurogane, was ready to embrace a happy future, unaware that his past was filled with regret over losing him. His family wished to make amends in the afterlife, hoping to reunite and be a family once more. All Might expressed his sorrow for everything he had done and vowed to redeem himself when they met again. Ikki Kurogane was now a different boy, surrounded by a family that would love him. As the next chapter began, Ikki woke up, remembering that he was living a new life away from his past. He got up and saw his school uniform. Excited for his first day at a new school, he dressed and went downstairs to find Robin making breakfast and Mihawk reading the paper. He greeted them, and Robin handed him a breakfast sandwich and orange juice. Mihawk complimented him on his uniform, and Ikki expressed his gratitude. Robin reminded him to show respect at school, and Mihawk advised him to say that his quirk was his sword, which granted him extra abilities. They rehearsed this briefly before finishing breakfast. The doorbell rang, and Robin opened it with her quirk to reveal Stella and 𝗬𝗏. Stella asked if Ikki was ready to go, and 𝗬𝗏 offered to take him to school. After saying goodbye to Robin and Mihawk, they walked toward the school. 𝗬𝗏 left Ikki and Stella at the front gates, reminding them to be careful before they entered the school together. Stella accompanied Ikki to the main office, where he submitted his transfer student paperwork. He then met his teacher, Mr. Arnold Lakefield, who welcomed him warmly. Ikki responded politely, and Mr. Lakefield led him to the classroom, ready for his new adventure. Arnold addressed the class, introducing Ikki Kurogane, the new transfer student who had just arrived. The students greeted him, and Arnold encouraged Ikki to introduce himself and share his quirk. Ikki smiled as he explained that his quirk allowed him to summon a sword, enhancing his speed and strength, though it left him unable to move afterward. The girls in the class couldn't help but blush at his charming demeanor. Arnold directed Ikki to sit next to Adrian, who welcomed him with a friendly greeting. Ikki thanked Adrian and took his seat, where they exchanged pleasantries. Adrian complimented Ikki's quirk, and Ikki returned the favor, expressing his appreciation. As class began, Ikki surprised everyone with his intelligence, answering questions with ease. When lunchtime arrived, Adrian eagerly pulled Ikki along, warning him that the girls were curious about him and wanted to know everything. Ikki complied, curious about what lay ahead. Meanwhile, Stella sighed at Adrian's antics as Marinette approached her, inquiring about the new boy. Stella confirmed that Ikki was the one her uncle had adopted, and they headed to the cafeteria together. There, they found Ikki and Adrian engrossed in a discussion about video games. Their conversation flowed easily, with Adrian sharing his opinions on various games while Ikki agreed enthusiastically. Stella and Marinette joined them, and Adrian playfully called Marinette Princess, causing her to blush. Ikki learned that they were childhood friends, and Marinette introduced herself. When Adrian asked Ikki about his reason for transferring, Ikki revealed that he had faced challenges with his family, leading to his adoption by Stella's uncle. The conversation shifted as they overheard teachers discussing All Might's struggles, hinting at turmoil in his personal life. After lunch, the group returned to class for the remainder of the day. Once school ended, they decided to walk home together, with Adrian and Marinette living nearby. Upon arriving home, Ikki greeted his parents, Robin and Mihawk, sharing that he had made a new friend. Mihawk expressed surprise upon learning that Ikki had befriended the mayor's son, but Robin reassured Ikki that making friends was a positive step. Ikki completed his homework and enjoyed dinner with his family before training with his father. He pondered his feelings about his past and the challenges he faced. Meanwhile, All Might was on his regular patrol, reflecting on his own struggles and the consequences of his actions as a hero. He encountered 𝗵𝘃𝗏, who taunted him about his son, igniting a tense confrontation. As the story progressed, Ikki continued to thrive in his new environment, finding happiness and support from his friends and family. He and Stella shared a moment of connection, expressing gratitude for their lives together. When they arrived home one day, they were greeted by Yuta, who introduced herself. Mihawk introduced Ikki to Shanks, revealing the bond between them. Ikki felt a sense of belonging, surrounded by friends and family who cared for him. Ikki was excited as he faced Shanks, who expressed his longing to meet the boy with the cursed sword. Ikki reached out his hand, calling for Inetsu to come forward. Shanks found the sword intriguing and explained that it had taken many forms, noting that its current shape as a katana was significant. Ikki was curious about Shanks' interest, and Shanks elaborated that the sword's transformation was linked to Ikki's past. Shanks revealed that the negativity from Ikki's past had affected his psyche, suggesting that Inetsu had changed into a katana because Ikki wanted to confront that past. Ikki admitted to wanting to hurt his past, but Shanks pointed out that something held him back, possibly a seal on his curse mark. This seal was one of the strongest in the world, and only a few could create it. Ikki realized that someone had prevented him from becoming a murderer, and Shanks speculated that they didn't want him to turn into a villain. Yuta, eager to hold the sword, was told by Shanks that only Ikki could wield it due to their bond. Ikki then shared that he had been sensing a dark energy watching him from afar, but it didn't seem hostile. Shanks recognized this as observation haki, and Mihawk suggested that it might be AFO. Shanks wanted to test Ikki's abilities, and Ikki was curious about what haki was. Shanks explained that haki was a manifestation of one's spirit, allowing for incredible feats. Ikki felt the immense pressure of Shanks' power, and while Stella and Yuta struggled to remain conscious, Ikki countered Shanks' Conqueror Haki instinctively. Everyone was astonished that Ikki had used Conqueror Haki without realizing it. After they both ceased their powers, Shanks confirmed that Ikki had indeed done it. Mihawk mentioned that Ikki's training would become more intense, and Ikki sought clarification on haki. Robin explained that haki consisted of 3 types: observation haki, which allowed users to predict movements, armament haki, which created a protective armor, and the most powerful, conqueror spirit, which could control the will of others. Ikki was amazed and expressed his longing to train in haki. Shanks informed him that they would stay for a couple of years to help him grow stronger. Meanwhile, in Japan, All Might was on patrol when he encountered 𝗵𝗃𝗏. 𝗵𝗃𝗏 confronted All Might about his perceived weakness and the consequences of his actions, reminding him of the pain his family was enduring. All Might, feeling the weight of his guilt, acknowledged his failures but was determined to change for the better. 𝗵𝗃𝗏 urged him to be a better husband and father, emphasizing the importance of not letting history repeat itself. As All Might left, 𝗵𝗃𝗏 shed a tear for his nephew, promising to honor his memory by improving himself. He looked up at the sky, silently asking Izuku to watch over them. The next chapter began with Ikki on his rooftop, gazing at the night sky. He found peace in the stars and moon, reflecting on how they were the only source of comfort in his life. Suddenly, he was playfully pushed by Robin, who had noticed him outside. She asked what he was doing, and Ikki shared his love for stargazing, explaining how it helped him cope with loneliness. Ikki expressed his concerns about his cursed sword and the pain it might bring in the future, but he also recognized the love and support he had gained from his parents and friends. He shyly admitted to Robin that he had found someone who was mending his broken heart, referring to Stella. Robin teased him about it, and they decided to head back inside, as the next day was Ikki's 12th birthday. The following day, Ikki eagerly awaited his party, excited for his friends and family to arrive. When Adrien showed up, they exchanged greetings and high fives, ready to enjoy their time together playing video games. Stella and her family arrived with Shanks and Yuta. Stella asked where Ikki was, and Adrien encouraged them to take this final flash while Izuku prepared a Kamehameha. They were all engaged in playing Sparkling Zero, with Adrien as Ultra Ego Vegeta and Izuku as Ultra Instinct Goku. Ikki declared his victory, prompting Adrien to express his frustration. Stella called out to Ikki, and Yuta joined in, while Marinette apologized for being late. Ikki reassured her that it was no problem, and Marinette wished him a happy birthday. They shared a warm hug filled with love and admiration. Adrien felt no jealousy, as he and Ikki had formed a pact of friendship, sharing their crushes and promising to support each other. Ikki viewed Marinette as a sister, just as Adrien saw Stella in the same light. Adrien, Marinette, and their parents discussed Ikki's past, which stirred anger towards his former family and friends for their actions. While Adrien had no longing to be a hero, he aspired to inherit his father's business, and Marinette dreamed of taking over her parents' bakery. Their passion for their dreams was evident. Stella and Ikki served as taste testers for Marinette's food, which was quite enjoyable. With Ikki's help, Adrien assisted his father in securing a contract worth billions, which was crucial for treating his mother's illness. They were all happy together. Adrien was eager to start the party, and Ikki agreed. Meanwhile, in Japan, Izumi returned home from counseling to find her father waiting with a cake. He wished her a happy birthday, but Izumi, feeling overwhelmed, discarded the cake in the trash. She expressed her longing to stop celebrating her birthday, leaving her father heartbroken, realizing the pain he had caused both her and Inko, especially regarding Ikki's situation. They had not even attended Ikki's funeral due to Nizu's restrictions. Back at Ikki's celebration, he sat in front of a cake, feeling joyful. As he blew out the candles, everyone applauded, and he smiled brightly. After enjoying the cake, it was time for presents. Adrien stepped forward, sharing that his dad had made a deal with Dr. Dre, who gifted him headphones to pass on to Ikki for his birthday. Izuku thanked Adrien, while Marinette presented her gift, a limited edition Marvel vs. Capcom arcade, which Ikki appreciated. Yuta admitted her dad wasn't great at gift giving but still offered a thoughtful present, which Ikki loved. 𝗧𝗪 joined in, revealing that Stella had saved up to buy something special, a drone, which Ikki found awesome. Stella explained that since Ikki had been training in combat without his swords, she thought the drone would be perfect for him to avoid injury. Ikki expressed his gratitude, and Mihawk announced that they had spoken with the Hero Commissioner of France and the Prime Minister about Ikki's situation. His former parents' rights were revoked without their knowledge, and he was now officially their child. Ikki felt this was the best present he could ask for. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. Mihawk opened it to find a 𝗬𝗍𝗍 man with a package for Ikki. After signing for it, he brought the box inside. Curious, Ikki asked who it was from, and as he opened the box, a puppy jumped out and began to lick his face. Ikki laughed, asking if he could keep the puppy, and both Mihawk and Robin agreed. As Ikki played with the dog outside, Mihawk turned to the group, revealing that they were correct about Ikki being all for one son. He showed them a DVD that contained a message from AFO, who introduced himself as 𝗧𝗵𝗲 Midoriya. He expressed his longing for Mihawk to train Ikki to become the best person he could be and mentioned that Ikki had 2 older siblings who would meet him in a few years. AFO explained his reluctance to reveal himself to Ikki, wanting his children to forge their own paths rather than follow his. He also revealed that Ikki possessed a dangerous quirk called Void, which he had kept safe to prevent harm to Ikki. Mihawk and the others discussed how to proceed, agreeing that they should train Ikki to become stronger and help him manage his quirk. Ikki, overhearing their conversation, approached them with a smile, realizing that his real father truly loved him. Determined, he declared his intention to grow stronger and save his father from himself. Mihawk encouraged his spirit, knowing they had a long journey ahead. Chapter done. Next chapter, meeting the rival after. Confession then, meeting my true father. Narrator POV. Ikki, now 14 years old, has been living a fulfilling life. Since childhood he never imagined he would experience such joy. Although he feels a bit disappointed that his family did not believe in his dream of becoming a hero, he has found a new family among friends and mentors. He knows about his biological father but lacks a deep understanding of him. In contrast, his stepfather Mihawk has been a guiding figure, teaching him right from wrong. Ikki recognizes that Izuku will significantly impact his life. His mother, Robin, has shown him how to be a respectful young man and how to treat women, instilling in him a healthy respect for them. Ikki feels grateful for his great aunts and uncles, Shanks, Sirius, and 𝗬𝗏, who have treated him kindly, providing him with a sense of belonging. He particularly enjoys spending time with Shanks. His older sister, 𝗬𝗏, treats him like a younger brother, instilling both admiration and a bit of fear in him. Marinette has taught him that he can still believe in people, showing him that not everyone is the same. He sees her as a sister, and she views Izuku as a brother. His best friend, Adrien, is his partner in crime, someone he can always rely on, just as Adrien can rely on him. Ikki cherishes his new family. Currently, he finds himself with two crushes, Yuta and Stella. Both girls have helped him realize that love is still possible for him. Yuta has been busy with her music career, so Ikki has been spending more time with Stella, who has a tsundere personality that he finds endearing. Her cute expressions, even when she gets mad, make him smile. He has developed stronger feelings for Stella and intends to pursue her. During spring break, Ikki is working out in a forest outside the city, seeking solitude for personal training. He wants to clear his mind, having received permission to be there. As he does squats with a boulder on his shoulder, he suddenly feels something strange as the boulder shatters. He rolls away from a sword attack and summons his own sword, spotting an unfamiliar figure. The stranger introduces himself as Kurado Kurashiki, revealing that he possesses a cursed sword like Ikki's Inetsu. Ikki is taken aback but intrigued. Kurashiki explains that his sword is called Sword Eater and that he has come to challenge Ikki to a fight. Accepting the challenge, they dash toward each other, their swords colliding with a fierce intensity. The two are evenly matched, neither allowing the other to gain the upper hand. Meanwhile, Shanks reads a newspaper with the others, noticing Stella's pouting demeanor. She expresses her frustration about Ikki leaving without saying goodbye. Sirius suggests that sometimes a man needs time alone to discover himself, but Stella finds this reasoning silly. Sensing a disturbance, Mihawk and Robin realize that Ikki might be in trouble. Back at the fight, Kurashiki acknowledges Ikki's skill with the sword, and Ikki reciprocates the compliment. They continue to clash, creating shockwaves that ripple through the forest. As they unleash their haki, the entire country feels the surge, causing nearby animals to panic. Adrien and Marinette, sensing the disturbance, discuss the unusual nature of Ikki's haki, realizing it signifies a rivalry. The battle intensifies, with their swords creating powerful explosions that send them both crashing into trees and stone walls. Despite their injuries, they remain focused on the fight, lost in their own world. As they continue to clash, they notice Mihawk, Shanks, and Sirius approaching. Kurashiki decides to retreat, expressing his longing to grow stronger before facing Ikki again. Ikki shares the same sentiment, both promising to become the strongest. After Kurashiki leaves, Ikki kneels, feeling the adrenaline fade and the weight of his injuries settle in. Mihawk and Shanks commend him for his performance, while Sirius points out that Ikki has found a worthy rival. Ikki, filled with excitement, reveals that the fight reignited a passion he thought he had lost. As they head back, Robin tends to his injuries, playfully scolding him, which causes him to faint. Mihawk reflects on the history of rivals, hinting at deeper connections, while Stella and 𝗬𝗏 observe Ikki's loyal dog, 9, curling up next to him, finding the scene endearing. Shanks declared himself as the kid's rival, promising to return. Stella affectionately stroked Ikki's hair, calling him foolish. The chapter concluded, leading into the next one titled, Confession, followed by Meeting with My Father, and then, the announcement. It had been 2 years since Ikki first met Kurashiki. During that time, they had fought 3 more times, growing stronger with each encounter. Each battle ended in a draw, but neither of them minded. Currently, Ikki was playing soccer with his classmates during physical education. As he wiped the sweat from his forehead, a commotion erupted among the female students. A group of girls exclaimed in excitement, with one declaring her longing to marry Kurogane. Another insisted she would be the one, while yet another chimed in, claiming the same. A girl commented on Ikki's popularity, and another recognized Adrien, the second prince of their school. Adrien remarked on Ikki's transformation from a scrawny kid to a handsome young man, prompting more cheers from the girls. In a corner, Marinette and Stella watched, feeling a twinge of jealousy. Marinette suggested they should do something, worried that the other girls would steal Adrien and Ikki away from them. Stella, blushing, insisted she had no feelings for Ikki. Marinette pointed out a girl approaching Ikki, who handed him a love letter, leaving him in shock as the other girls looked on. The girl told Ikki she would be waiting for his response before leaving, and his classmates cheered for him. Adrien asked what Ikki planned to do, to which Ikki replied he wasn't sure. Marinette questioned whether Stella was willing to lose Ikki, revealing her intention to confess her feelings to Adrien. Stella imagined Ikki with the girl, feeling a pang of loneliness at the thought. That same day, Ikki walked home alone, feeling a bit sad since he usually walked with Stella. As he walked, he noticed an older couple in the park. The man presented his wife with a rose, making her smile, and they shared a tender kiss. Ikki smiled at the sight, pondering if he deserved love. The older man greeted Ikki, and the older woman asked how they could help him. Ikki admitted he found them adorable and learned they were celebrating their 50th anniversary. They shared that they had come to France for the occasion. The older woman noticed something was bothering Ikki, and he opened up about his childhood friend, describing her as amazing, appealing, and strong. The older man asked what the problem was, and Ikki revealed his fear of heartbreak stemming from his past. The older woman encouraged him, asking if this friend made him feel happy, to which Ikki replied affirmatively. The older man reassured him that he deserved love and urged him to express his feelings. Feeling inspired, Ikki thanked them and rushed off to find Stella, determined to confess his love. Just then he spotted Stella and approached her, taking her hands. He confessed that he had rejected the girl who gave him the letter, explaining that he had come from a place where he felt unloved. He declared that he would not let his past dictate his future. Stella, moved by his words, kissed him and admitted she loved him too, calling him a big idiot. They smiled at each other, embraced, and shared another kiss as a crowd cheered for them, making them blush. Once they returned home, they shared the news with their families, who were thrilled. Robin and 𝗬𝗓 began planning for future grandchildren, causing the couple to blush. Meanwhile, in Japan, Izumi and her friends held their hearts, feeling a deep ache. Shoka lamented her heartache, while Katsumi called out to Izumi, who expressed her longing to cry. The girls were unaware of the events unfolding on the other side of the world, but they would eventually learn that Izuku, or Ikki, was a different person. Back in France, Ikki and Stella cuddled in his room. Stella giggled and Ikki asked what was funny. She revealed she had planned to barge into his room to kiss him and declare him hers. Ikki promised he would be hers forever. Stella asked if she would be the only girl he loved, to which he replied that she was, for now, but he playfully mentioned another girl who would be the most appealing in the world. Stella, blushing, feigned anger at his teasing. They shared a kiss and soon fell asleep. The next day, they arrived at school hand in hand, joined by Marinette and Adrien, who were also a couple. As the 4 of them entered the room, the school erupted in excitement, shocked that the 4 most popular students had paired off. Ikki remarked that this would cause trouble, and Adrien agreed, but they both shrugged it off. Meanwhile, All Might took a breather during his patrol, watching a young father share ice cream with his son. He reflected on his past mistakes, regretting how he had neglected Izuku. Inko approached him, reminding him of their divorce. All Might expressed his remorse, wondering if Izuku would ever forgive them. Inko replied that she would try to make amends when the time came, willing to face any consequences for her son's peace of mind. Inko left him standing there, unsure of what to do. He understood that nothing he could do would change things. It had been 6 months since Ikki and Stella confessed their feelings for each other, and it had been wonderful. Ikki was happier than ever, believing in love again with their appealing girl by his side. They still bickered like an old married couple, but it was all in good fun, and they both turned deep red when called out on it. Currently, Ikki was with Adrian, enjoying their usual boys' activities. They were at the basketball court, playing with other boys. Ikki was teasing Adrian about getting dunked, while Adrian insisted that Ikki was cheating. Their playful argument escalated, but in the end, they remained friends through it all. After finishing their game, they decided to walk home together. Adrian remarked on how awesome the game was and how it had been a while since they spent time together. Ikki agreed, noting that their relationships had taken up some of their time. Suddenly, Ikki sensed someone watching them and urged Adrian to run home and call his dad. Adrian was confused but complied. Ikki slipped into an alleyway, where a mysterious figure smiled at him. The figure revealed himself as 𝗧𝗵𝗃, Ikki's father. Ikki was shocked, realizing who he was speaking to. 𝗧𝗵𝗃 explained that he knew Ikki well, but Ikki was still filled with anger and hurt. He confronted 𝗧𝗵𝗃 about stealing his quirk and the pain it had caused him over the years. 𝗧𝗵𝗃 revealed that he had taken Ikki's quirk not out of greed but to protect him, explaining that Ikki's young body would not have been able to handle its power. Ikki was taken aback, realizing that his father had acted out of concern. 𝗧𝗵𝗃 reassured Ikki that he would eventually get his quirk back, but he had come with a warning. His quirk had evolved and now had a mind of its own, posing a potential threat to Ikki. Ikki was determined to help his father, expressing his longing to be a hero who saves people. 𝗧𝗵𝗃 smiled, proud of his son, and shared that Ikki had older half-siblings who would contact him soon. He urged Ikki to stay strong and true to himself, leaving Ikki feeling hopeful and supported. As Ikki returned home, he was greeted by Stella, who hugged him tightly. Mihawk and Robin noticed his happiness and Ikki shared that he had met with 𝗧𝗵𝗃, who believed in him. They all smiled, knowing that someone from Ikki's past had faith in his dreams of becoming a hero. Meanwhile, 𝗵𝗃𝗲 was in his office, reflecting on a recent encounter with two infamous vigilantes, Fire Fist and the Serpent Goddess. Their conversation left him puzzled about a mysterious person they mentioned. He glanced at a family photo, filled with regret about his past actions towards Izuku. 𝗵𝗃𝗲 vowed to make things right and to become a true hero, not just for himself but for Izuku as well. Ikki was now training with Shanks, preparing for his return to Japan for the UA entrance exams. He felt an overwhelming sense of happiness as he prepared to return and show his past what it truly meant to be a hero. However, he was uncertain whether to reveal his identity or keep it hidden. Just moments ago, he had finished a training session with Ace, who had left a small cut on his cheek. Shanks acknowledged Ikki's progress, expressing pride in his improvement. Ikki thanked his uncle and confirmed he was ready for the entrance exams at UA. Shanks offered a recommendation, similar to the one he had given to Yuta, while Sirius was also providing one for Stella. Yet, Ikki appreciated the offer but wanted to earn his place at the school on his own merit. Shanks agreed with Ikki's sentiment, reminding him that while training with him was complete, it didn't mean he should stop training altogether. Ikki admitted he was still unsure about his past and what to do with it. Shanks encouraged him to think about his family, the ones who had always been there for him. Ikki expressed his concerns about revealing himself, fearing they wouldn't believe it was really him, and he worried they might not accept that he was alive. Shanks reassured him that whatever decision he made, he would have his support. Stella approached, informing Ikki that their parents wanted to speak with them. As they walked back, hand in hand, Stella wrapped her arm around his. She asked what was on his mind, and he confessed he was thinking about his past. Stella reassured him that he didn't need to worry about it, and they discussed their upcoming journey to UA. Ikki reminded her that she didn't have to join him, but Stella insisted she wanted to support his dream of becoming a hero. He felt incredibly lucky to have her in his life, and she echoed that sentiment, suggesting they find out what their parents wanted. Upon arriving at Ikki's home, they found their parents waiting for them. They entered and sat down in front of their family. Sirius began to speak, and 𝗬𝗏𝗃 followed, explaining that since Ikki and Stella would be living in an apartment by themselves, they wanted to discuss something important. Ikki expressed gratitude for being allowed to return. Mihawk continued, noting that they were aware the two had managed on their own before. 𝗧𝗵𝗲 then revealed their request. They wanted Ikki and Stella to agree to an engagement. Both were taken aback, blinking in shock at the unexpected proposal. Mihawk explained that this engagement was meant to protect Ikki from his past, assuring him that he and Sirius could help prevent any threats to Stella. Ikki hesitated, expressing that he didn't want to rush into engagement. Stella, however, reassured him that she was willing to do anything for him, including this. Robin asked Ikki what he thought about the engagement. He admitted he wanted to, but he didn't have an engagement ring. Just then, a portal appeared above them, dropping a box. Ikki opened it and read a note from his father, which revealed that the engagement ring belonged to his grandfather and had been used to propose to his grandmother. His father expressed his longing for Ikki to be happy and assured him of his support. As Ikki opened the box, everyone looked on in anticipation. Stella admired the ring, and Ikki got down on one knee, promising to always make her happy and asking her to marry him. Overwhelmed with emotion, Stella agreed, and as he placed the ring on her finger, they shared a kiss while their family applauded and celebrated their engagement. After 20 minutes, Marinette and Adrien arrived at Ikki's house. Ikki greeted them, and Stella, filled with joy, showed off her engagement ring. Marinette was thrilled, and Adrien congratulated Ikki, expressing his honor to be his best man. Stella chimed in, saying Marinette would be her maid of honor, and they joked about wedding preparations. As they celebrated the good news, Ikki felt an immense sense of happiness surrounded by his family. He cherished this moment, knowing he wouldn't trade it for anything. Meanwhile, Izumi, Katsumi, and Shoka awoke from their nap, holding their chests in confusion. Shoka wondered why her heart felt heavy, while Katsumi lamented the loss of her brother. Izumi called out for her brother, feeling the weight of their shared grief. In a different place, Inko sat alone in her new apartment, grappling with her sorrow. She mourned the loss of her only son and contemplated what she would say to Hisashi if she ever found him. She resigned herself to the thought that if she were to face her fate, she would do so with open arms. As the day approached for Ikki and Stella to return to Japan, excitement filled the air. Ikki was eager to return to his homeland and attend UA. They had both received recommendations for the entrance exams, and as they packed their belongings, Ikki reflected on how he was going back to a place he once called home, though it felt different now. Kurashiki appeared, inquiring about Ikki's plans, while Ikki reassured his dog, 𝗬𝗪, to calm down. Kurashiki acknowledged Ikki's decision to attend UA, and the journey ahead promised to be filled with new challenges and adventures. Ikki and Kurashiki discussed their aspirations for strength. Kurashiki expressed a longing for Ikki to grow much stronger than before, and Ikki vowed to improve, hoping not to leave Kurashiki behind. Kurashiki was determined to reach new heights, encouraging Ikki to attend UA and become a hero so they could face each other in battle again. Ikki looked forward to their next fight. As Kurashiki left, Ikki closed the door and petted his dog, 𝗬𝗪, deciding to bring him along to school. He planned to speak to someone about having 𝗬𝗪 with him. Afterward, Ikki went downstairs to find Stella surrounded by 10 suitcases. He questioned her about the number, to which Stella replied that he wouldn't understand. Ikki accepted that he probably wouldn't. 𝗬𝗪 arrived to take Stella to the private airport, assuring them that they would be flying privately without other passengers. Both Ikki and Stella expressed their gratitude as they got into the car. Ikki gazed out at the city, having already said goodbye to Marinette and Adrien. He felt Stella lean her head on his shoulder, and he smiled, enjoying the softness of her hair. After 20 minutes, they arrived at the airport and checked their bags. They exchanged farewells with their families. Robin reminded Ikki to take care of himself, while Mihawk urged him to stay committed to his training. Sirius wished Stella safety, and 𝗧𝗵𝗲 playfully asked her not to make her a grandmother just yet. Stella blushed at her mother's comment. 𝗬𝗪 warned Stella to be ready to confront anyone who might threaten her little brother, and Stella confidently agreed. Shanks advised them to support each other, and as he placed his hat on Ikki's head, he asked for it back when Ikki became a great hero. He promised he would. Once on the airplane, Stella held Ikki's hand, admitting she felt a bit nervous. Ikki reassured her that everything would be fine. They spent the flight relaxing and napping. As night fell, Stella woke to see Ikki gazing out at the sky. She rubbed her eyes and noted the late hour. Ikki shared that he was deep in thought about the people who had impacted his life. Stella encouraged him to consider revealing his identity to those who knew he was alive, reminding him that he was not alone in facing anyone from his past. After 14 hours of flying, they arrived in Japan and passed through customs. Stepping outside, Ikki noticed how much had changed since his last visit. They took a taxi to their new apartment complex, where they grabbed their suitcases and paid the driver. Inside the elevator, Stella mentioned that the school was just a 15-minute walk away, which Ikki found agreeable. Once they entered their apartment, Stella remarked that it wasn't bad, and Ikki agreed, finding it cute. They explored their bedroom and the bathroom, where Ikki noted the convenience of the layout. Stella was impressed by the heated bathtub, and Ikki playfully suggested they could bathe together, causing her to blush. She welcomed him home, and Ikki smiled, feeling a sense of belonging. Stella then suggested they make something to eat, as she was hungry. Meanwhile, across the city, a man in an orange hat intervened as villains attempted to rob an elderly couple. He skillfully retrieved the purse and returned it to the grateful woman, earning her praise as a good hero. Afterward, he landed on a nearby building and greeted his sister, 𝗬𝗲. Ace expressed his excitement about their little brother arriving in Japan, sharing that having a brother was a new experience for him. 𝗬𝗲 inquired about how they would meet Ikki, and Ace explained that he could use his haki to help Ikki recognize them since their father had told him about them. 𝗬𝗲 mentioned that she heard Ikki was engaged, and while she approved, she playfully declared her intention to grill his fiancé. Ace acknowledged her choice but reminded her of their family's reputation for charming hearts. They decided to leave before the authorities arrived, noting that heroes were already on the scene. 2 months passed since Ikki and Stella settled into their new apartment, and they were enjoying their time together. Ikki had yet to inform his loved ones of his return, wanting to ensure he was ready to confront those who had caused him pain. One rainy day, Stella asked Ikki what they should do. He suggested staying in and relaxing, which she thought was a great idea. They decided to watch a movie together. As they settled in, the atmosphere shifted, and Stella playfully engaged with Ikki, but they were interrupted by unexpected visitors. Ikki instinctively positioned himself protectively in front of Stella, demanding to know who had entered their space. Izuku Ikki was confused as he faced 2 figures. One introduced himself as 𝗵𝗃𝗲, Ace, while the other was 𝗬𝗲 Hancock. They revealed that they were his older siblings. Ikki was taken aback, questioning their presence. Hancock explained that they had come to see him, and Ace added that they wanted to meet their little brother. Ikki wondered why they were there, and Hancock mentioned that someone wanted to talk to him. Just then, there was a knock at the door. Stella opened it to reveal the Hero Commissioner of Japan. The commissioner asked if she could come inside, and Stella welcomed her in. They all sat down, and the commissioner addressed Ikki, informing him about the second part of a deal made with his father. She explained that being the son of a notorious villain made it difficult for Ikki to become a hero. However, his father had made sacrifices, giving up criminals in exchange for Ikki's admission to UA. Ikki was surprised to learn that his father had done this for him. Ace and 𝗬𝗲 confirmed that it was typical of their dad to make such sacrifices. The commissioner continued, stating that the second part of the deal required the 3 siblings to live happily. Ikki expressed his understanding, but he was determined to pursue his own path and not hinder others' dreams. The commissioner acknowledged his resolve but reminded him that certain conditions applied, including the presence of All Might and his ex-wife as teachers at UA. Ikki learned that his father wanted him to inherit one for all, but he felt unworthy. Ace and 𝗬𝗲 encouraged him, suggesting he should do it not just for himself but for their uncle's ideals of heroism. Ikki agreed to consider it, and the commissioner promised to speak with Nizu about him being a candidate for the power. Ikki insisted that his secret must remain safe for now, as he wanted to heal from his past. The commissioner understood and left, reflecting on the deal's implications for her own family. Afterward, Ikki turned to his siblings, eager to bond with them. Ace suggested they get to know each other better, and 𝗬𝗲 agreed. Ikki expressed his appreciation for Stella, who had helped him believe in love again. Meanwhile, All Might was having a conversation with his daughter, Izumi, about One for All. She expressed her reluctance to take on the power, feeling unworthy due to past actions that had hurt her brother. All Might reassured her, but Izumi felt guilt and sadness over their family situation. She decided to leave to meet her mother, expressing concern about her mother's state. As Ikki spent time with his siblings, they discussed the wanted posters for heroes and vigilantes. Ikki expressed his longing to have one, while Ace playfully challenged him. They were all excited about the competition, and Stella thanked Boa for helping Ikki find hope in love again. The chapter concluded with Ikki preparing for a date with Stella. He changed into something simple and waited on the couch, reflecting on the upcoming entrance exams. After some time, Stella emerged looking stunning. They set off together, with Ikki guiding her around the neighborhood. They decided to grab a bite to eat at a restaurant, where they placed their orders. Stella asked Ikki how it felt to be back, and he admitted it was strange, as the place stirred many emotions within him. Anger, despair, sadness, happiness, joy. Ikki felt a whirlwind of emotions. Stella reassured him that he would soon find clarity. Ikki acknowledged how lucky he felt to have her by his side, and Stella echoed his sentiment. They enjoyed their meal together, discussing Ikki's experiences and sharing only the positive aspects of those who had supported him. Once they finished eating, Ikki paid for their food, and they observed heroes in action, spotting 𝗵𝗃, though Ikki chose not to engage with him. Stella then suggested they visit the mall, and Ikki agreed. As they entered, Stella excitedly pulled Ikki toward the women's section, asking him to wait while she browsed. He settled into a nearby seating area when a voice called out to him. A boy with spiky red hair introduced himself as 𝗲𝗄𝗃, and Ikki returned the greeting. They exchanged pleasantries, with Kirishima mentioning he had been at the mall for 3 hours, to which Ikki responded with surprise. Meanwhile, Stella was admiring some clothes when a girl with pink hair approached her. She complimented Stella on her dress, and Stella returned the compliment about her boots. The girl introduced herself as Mina Ishido, and Stella was pleased to meet her. Mina inquired if Stella was with her boyfriend, to which Stella proudly replied that she was engaged. Mina congratulated her and pointed out her own boyfriend, who was chatting with Ikki. The two girls noted that their partners seemed to be getting along well, and they discussed their plans for the entrance exams at UA. After a couple of hours, Ikki noticed Stella and asked if she was Kirishima's girlfriend, to which Mina confirmed. Ikki playfully remarked that Kirishima might be starving, prompting Mina to suggest they all get something to eat. As they left, Ikki paid for Stella's clothes, and they headed out for a snack. Suddenly, Ikki spotted his ex-sister with her friends, causing him to tense up. Stella noticed his reaction and squeezed his hand, sensing his discomfort. Recognizing the situation, she took his hand firmly, leading him away. Ikki assured her he was all right, though he felt a bit shocked, and Stella comforted him, expressing her support. Meanwhile, All Might and his ex-wife, Inko Aizawa, were in a meeting with the hero commissioner. The commissioner informed All Might that his time as the symbol of peace was nearing its end, and he suggested a potential successor, Ikki Kurogane, the son of Mihawk and Nico Robin. All Might was surprised to learn about Ikki, who was said to possess remarkable abilities. Inko requested to see a picture of him, and upon viewing it, she felt a mix of emotions, recognizing a resemblance that stirred something deep within her. The commissioner mentioned that Ikki would be attending the entrance exams with his fiancée, Stella Vermilion, the daughter of the #1 hero. Inko expressed a longing to visit her son's grave, but the commissioner refused, stating they wanted to protect his resting place from any disrespect. Both All Might and Inko left the meeting, with All Might feeling a sense of loss as he returned home to an empty house. Back with Ikki and Stella, they enjoyed ice cream and continued shopping. Ikki felt a sense of renewal, leaving his past behind. Stella suggested they head home to rest after a busy day, especially with the entrance exams approaching. On the day of the entrance exams, Ikki and Stella donned their school uniforms and left their home, reassuring their pet, Chopper, that they would return. Ikki promised they would visit the park after their exams. As they approached UA, they noticed a crowd of students eager to enter. While walking toward the recommended entrance, a boy with glasses tried to stop Ikki, but Ikki released a hint of his conqueror's haki, causing some students to faint in awe. They quickly made their way inside. All Might, reflecting on the entrance exams, felt a sense of dread as he remembered his own failures. He sensed a powerful presence as the door opened, momentarily mistaking Ikki for his nemesis, all for one. However, he quickly realized it was the boy the commissioner had mentioned, who radiated an undeniable strength. Ikki greeted the staff, and 𝗍𝗍 acknowledged him as one of the recommended students from Paris. Nice to meet Ikki, who hoped he wouldn't be recognized. Midnight informed the group that these were their seats and invited them to sit with the other two students. Stella introduced herself as 𝗬𝗵𝗲, while Ikki introduced himself as Ikki Kurogane. myheroacademia then introduced herself, followed by 𝗬𝗵𝗃𝗍𝗵, who also greeted the two. Ikki smiled brightly, a gesture that the staff recognized but didn't associate with their nephew, Izuku. 𝗍𝗍 addressed the four of them as the recommended students, instructing them to sit down and begin their test. As they settled in, Izuku and Stella started their exam, with Izuku noticing the mistakes 𝗍𝗍 had made, confident that Stella would catch them too. After 10 minutes, both Ikki and Stella announced they were done. 𝗍𝗍 expressed his surprise, and Stella explained that they had corrected his errors. 𝗍𝗍 acknowledged his oversight, allowing them to enjoy the rest of the exams. Toshinori was impressed by Ikki's knowledge and intellect, recognizing his potential as a future holder of One for All. However, seeing Ikki brought him both joy and unease, leaving him curious about the boy. Inko reflected on Ikki, remembering her son Izuku, who would have been there pursuing his dream of becoming a hero. Regret filled her as she thought of how they had neglected him and allowed his sister to mistreat him. She felt that if he were alive, he would want nothing to do with them. Ikki, meanwhile, was becoming more adept with his observation haki. He sensed Uncle Shota's suspicion and noted that All Might seemed eager to learn more about him. He felt Inko's sadness and depression, noticing her long sleeves and wondering if she was hurting herself, which troubled him. Stella reminded Ikki that the exams were about to begin, prompting him to acknowledge her. Momo asked how they were so intelligent, to which Stella replied that they studied together and had excellent teachers. Ikki added that failing would mean facing his mother, Nico Robin's wrath. Psycho inquired why Ikki didn't share his parents' last name, and he explained that they were not his biological parents. They had adopted him after his mother and stepfather left. Midnight expressed sympathy, but Ikki insisted he held no resentment, simply wanting to live his life surrounded by those who truly loved him. As they continued with the exams, Ikki noticed Izumi, Katsumi, and Shoka working hard but struggling. Endeavor commented on their lack of quirk usage, while All Might noted how well Izumi had taken her punishment. Inko observed the scene, feeling a mix of pride and concern. 𝗍𝗍 decided it was time to unleash the zero-pointers, pressing a button that sent tremors through the city. Ikki felt something was off as his observation haki went haywire, prompting him to stand. 𝗍𝗍 called out to Kurogane, but Ikki had already vanished, shattering the glass in front of him. All Might and the others were taken aback as they realized the zero-pointer was out of control and about to crush two contestants. Momo recognized the girls in danger, and Stella reassured everyone that Ikki would handle it. Ikki was seen kicking the air as if flying, summoning a sword and unleashing a powerful slash that cut the zero-pointer in half. The contestants and teachers were astonished by his strength. All Might, witnessing the silhouette of his 𝗵𝗃 behind Ikki, felt a rush of emotions. Returning to the observation room, Ikki made his sword disappear and explained that he had used his observation haki to foresee the danger, saving the two girls from being crushed. 𝗍𝗍 acknowledged the rarity of such skill, feeling proud of Ikki's abilities. Stella praised Ikki for his performance, and he thanked her. Inko noticed the ring on Stella's finger and felt a sense of familiarity. 𝗍𝗍 expressed gratitude for Ikki's quick action, and Ikki asked if he could bring his special dog to school. 𝗍𝗍 agreed, and Ikki and Stella left, while All Might and Inko exchanged knowing glances, recognizing Ikki as a suitable candidate for One for All. Outside, Izumi spotted Ikki walking, his smile bringing tears to her eyes. Katsumi asked why Izumi was upset, and she explained that Ikki reminded her of her brother. Shoka suggested they go see their uncle and aunt, and Izumi agreed. As the first day at UA began, Ikki and 𝗬𝗏 donned their uniforms, ready for the day ahead. 𝗧𝗵𝗲 awaited them at the door, and Ikki encouraged him to join them. They left their apartment and headed toward the school, arriving at Class 1A. Upon entering, greeted their classmates. Kirishima welcomed Ikki, and Mina greeted 𝗬𝗏 warmly. Izumi, Katsumi, and Shoka watched Ikki, feeling a mix of happiness and heartache they couldn't quite understand. Itsuka recognized Ikki as their savior, and Kyoka thanked him. Tenya Ida questioned the presence of Ikki's dog, insisting it was against the rules. Ikki, however, confidently stated that he had received permission from the principal for 𝗧𝗵𝗲 to be there, asserting that he was his companion. As the teacher arrived, Ikki suggested they take their seats. They noticed a yellow caterpillar rolling toward the front as Ikki and 𝗬𝗏 took their seats. Aizawa introduced himself as Shota Aizawa, the homeroom teacher, and mentioned that his assistant would arrive shortly. A green-haired woman entered, carrying a baby strapped to her chest. The baby, a black-haired boy, made adorable noises. The woman introduced herself as Emi Aizawa, the hero known as Ms. Joke, and shared that the baby was named Izuku after her nephew. Ikki was surprised to learn that his uncle had named his son after him. The baby looked at Ikki, smiling and waving his tiny hands. Emi remarked that it was unusual for him to act this way with strangers. Ikki suggested that the baby might like his dog, reassuring Emi that the dog was well-trained and wouldn't cause any trouble. Aizawa then announced that they should begin their orientation at UA, emphasizing that they would be their homeroom teachers for the next 3 years, training them to become true heroes. Emi added that while some of them would become heroes, others might not possess the qualities needed. Izumi and her friends lowered their heads in disappointment. Aizawa instructed everyone to change into their PE uniforms and meet outside for a quirk assessment test. Ikki and 𝗬𝗏 stood up and headed toward the uniforms, with Ikki pausing to smile at the baby boy, who clapped his hands in delight. Ikki commented on the baby's cheerful demeanor, and Emi noted that he usually didn't act this way around strangers. Ikki expressed his affinity for children, and they left as the rest of the class remained still. Aizawa urged them to follow or risk expulsion, prompting everyone to rush to the front to grab their uniforms and head to the changing room. In the boys' changing room, Kirishima complimented Ikki on his physique and inquired about his training regimen. Ikki mentioned that he trained with Shanks, who was known as the manliest man in the world, and that Mihawk, his father, had trained him. Ojiro expressed interest in sparring with Ikki, who accepted the challenge with honor. Meanwhile, 𝗧𝗵𝗲, Ikki's dog, stood in front of a smaller boy, who appeared frightened. Ikki confronted the boy, asking what he had been trying to do, explaining that his dog only reacted to ill intent. The boy admitted to attempting to sneak a peek into the girl's side, pleading for mercy. Ikki declared him a pervert, and the others echoed his sentiments. Aoyama remarked that it was not a sparkling moment, and Ikki asked Yaoyorozu to cover the hole while he spoke to Sensei about it. In the girls' changing room, Setsuna Tokage asked 𝗬𝗏 about her fitness secrets. 𝗬𝗏 blushed and shared that her training was intense. Kyoka noted Ikki's strength, and the girls discussed their boyfriend's dedication to training. 𝗬𝗏 mentioned that Ikki wanted to prove something and save someone dear to him, while Kyoka admired their goals. Ikki was the first to arrive outside, where he saw the teachers conversing. He informed Aizawa about the hole in the boy's side that led to the girl's side, explaining that his dog had caught the smaller boy trying to peek. Ms. Joke promised to have 𝗵𝗃𝗄𝗃 repair the hole, and Aizawa thanked Ikki for the heads-up. Ikki proudly acknowledged his mother's influence in raising him to be a gentleman. As baby Izuku made noises, indicating he wanted to be held, Emi asked Ikki if he minded holding him. Ikki gladly accepted, and as he held the baby, Aizawa noted that Izuku seemed to trust him. Ikki wondered why that was, and Emi suggested that the baby might find him familiar. Aizawa acknowledged noticing the bond but advised Ikki to focus on the assessment. The rest of the class arrived, surprised to see Ikki carrying the baby, and Izumi felt a pang of jealousy. Ikki then declared it was time to start the assessment, and Aizawa agreed. Aizawa informed the class that they would be missing the orientation, as UA allowed teachers the freedom to teach as they saw fit. He announced that they would undergo 8 tests to assess their quirks and encouraged them to give their best effort. Emi offered for 𝗧𝗵𝗲 to stay by their side during the tests, and they saw him acting as a guard dog while Izuku sat in his stroller. Aizawa outlined the tests: a 50-meter dash, grip strength, high jump, side-to-side jumps, sandbox jump, push-ups, sit-ups, and softball throw. He instructed everyone to use their quirks without holding back. Mina expressed excitement about the opportunity, but Aizawa warned that the last student would be expelled. The class reacted in shock, and Izumi protested that it was unfair. Aizawa's eyes glowed as he reminded them of their good fortune to be there. Ikki confirmed that Aizawa had expelled an entire class the previous year, which left everyone stunned. Aizawa acknowledged the truth of Ikki's statement, and 𝗵𝗃 noted the similarity between Ikki and Izuku. Aizawa reiterated that they should not hold back in the upcoming tests. Stella expressed concern about potentially causing damage to the school, but Aizawa dismissed her worries. 𝗵𝗃 announced the start of the 50-meter dash, and Aizawa explained the competition format, beginning with Kurogane versus Yagi. Ikki, determined to impress, thought about his sister watching and resolved to give it his all. Izumi encouraged everyone to do their best, and Ikki agreed, feeling competitive. Aizawa signaled the start of the race, and Kurogane completed it in an impressive 0.2 seconds, leaving the class in shock. Stella, already aware of his speed, felt proud. Next up were Vermilion and Todoroki, with Shoka urging everyone to do their best. Stella, using her fire to create wings, soared toward the finish line, clocking in at 1.5 seconds. Katsumi admired her strength. Aizawa then introduced the grip strength test, instructing half the class to pull on the machine while the others observed. Kirishima set a high score of 500, but then the machine broke apart under the pressure. Ikki questioned if he would have to pay for the damage, while Aizawa noted Kurogane's impressive strength but wondered why he hadn't used a specific move during the entrance exams. Kurogane confirmed he could only activate it a limited number of times each day due to its taxing nature. The rest of the class completed the grip test, and Stella achieved a remarkable score of Itsuka and Setsuno were amazed, while Stella modestly credited her lifelong training. Kyoka complimented her physique, and Stella blushed, prompting Mina to ask for her secret. Aizawa moved on to the high jump, encouraging everyone to give it their all. Ikki demonstrated his skills by using a technique that allowed him to jump high into the air, which Aizawa recognized as an alternative version of a well-known move. Ikki revealed that he learned it from renowned figures, including Mihawk Dracula and Shanks, who was Stella's uncle. Kirishima was eager to learn about Ikki's training regimen. Stella then used her dragon wings to match Ikki's height. The next challenge involved side-to-side jumps, with Stella timing Ikki as he moved swiftly. She managed to keep pace with him, achieving a score of Ikki handed her a water bottle, and 𝗵𝗃 noted how cute they looked together, wishing Izuku could experience a similar connection. Aizawa introduced the sandbox jump, where students took turns leaping over a sandbox. Ikki executed a front flip over it, and Stella followed suit, flying gracefully. The push-up challenge came next, with everyone counting their repetitions until they could no longer continue. Kirishima and Ikki stood out for their endurance, prompting Aizawa to call it quits for them after 10 minutes. The sit-up challenge followed, and after 15 minutes, Aizawa instructed Kurogane to stop. The final event was the softball throw, where students were to unleash their quirks. Ochako achieved an impressive infinity, while Izumi, Shoka, and Katsumi each reached 800 meters. When it was Ikki's turn, he prepared to use his powerful techniques, summoning his sword and unleashing a shockwave that sent the ball soaring into the sky. Stella was impressed by Ikki's performance, and Aizawa recognized his strength. Meanwhile, Inko and All Might observed from a distance, discussing Ikki's potential and the bond he shared with Stella. 𝗵𝗃 noticed Chopper, who had transformed into a protective giant furball around Izuku. As everyone gathered, Ikki held baby Izuku in his arms, and 𝗵𝗃 remarked on how the child seemed comfortable with him. Stella playfully noted that Ikki looked like a dad, to which he credited his own father figure. Aizawa then announced the results of the day's tests, and chaos ensued when Mineta rushed towards Stella, only to be swiftly kicked away by Ikki. Aizawa expelled Mineta from the class, and Momo supported the decision. 𝗵𝗃 acknowledged Ikki's protective nature, and Aizawa instructed the class to return for introductions, which they all agreed to do. Ikki grabbed Izuku and asked for a small favor. Emi agreed, and Ikki whispered to her, requesting that she gather everyone together without alerting certain individuals. He emphasized the importance of secrecy, mentioning 2 troublesome classmates and their friends. Emi's eyes widened in recognition, and Ikki reassured her by reminding her that she had knitted Uncle Zawa's scarf, which he wore constantly. They both nodded, and Ikki left as Izawa approached his wife. Izawa inquired about Ikki's request, and Emi explained that they needed to gather Gran Torino, Recovery Girl, Mike, Mirai, Todoroki, and Bakugo's families, excluding the troublesome ones. Izawa agreed and they left. Meanwhile, Inko and AM attempted to speak with Kurogane but found themselves unable to move. They changed back into their school uniforms, and Ikki, accompanied by Chopper, returned to the classroom where everyone took their seats. Ida suggested they introduce themselves, and Mina proposed sharing something about themselves. The group agreed, and one by one, they introduced themselves, sharing their quirks and personal tidbits. Yuga Aoyama mentioned his naval laser and love for sparkling things, while Mina Ashido expressed her enjoyment of being the life of the party and her affection for her boyfriend, Ijiro. Tsu Azui shared her frog-like abilities and fondness for her younger siblings, and Tenya Ida proudly stated his quirk allowed him to run fast and follow rules. Ochako Uraraka introduced her anti-gravity quirk and her love for machi, while Masahiro Ojiro talked about his martial arts skills and love for a good fight. Denki Kaminari shared his electricity quirk and passion for video games, and Ijiro Kirishima mentioned his hardening ability and love for working out. Psycho Intelli explained her high IQ and tea-drinking ritual, while Itsuka Kendo discussed her large fist and martial arts background. Setsuna Tokage introduced her lizard quirk, which allowed her to separate her body parts, and Kyoka Jiro shared her musical talents. Hantasiro mentioned his elbow tape quirk and love for video games. Fumikage Tokoyami introduced his shadow quirk and affinity for dark things. Shoka Todoroki expressed her longing to become a better person for someone she lost, while Toru Hagakure shared her invisible quirk and love for girly things. Izumi Yagi spoke about her telekinesis and her journey to become a better sister. Katsumi Bakugo expressed her determination to become a hero in memory of her brother. Momo Yaoyorozu introduced her creation quirk and her love for tea and books. Stella Vermilion shared her fire-controlling quirk and love for strawberry crepes. Finally, Ikki Kurogane introduced himself, explaining his quirk and his fondness for family. Ida remarked on Ikki's parentage, to which Ikki clarified that Mihawk Dracula and Nico Robin were his adoptive parents. He recounted his past, explaining how he was abandoned as a child and later adopted. When asked about his father, Ikki expressed his reluctance to share more. Setsuna pointed out Stella's engagement ring, confirming their engagement. As the introductions concluded, Izumi noted that they could go home, and the group prepared to leave. Ikki and Stella remained behind, exchanging glances. Stella encouraged Ikki, who felt nervous about what was to come. Holding his hand, she reassured him as he knocked on the door, hearing a voice invite him in. Upon entering, Ikki faced his family, and Izawa remarked on his resemblance to Izuku. Ikki insisted he was indeed Izuku, explaining that his appearance had changed due to the sword Inetsu. Gran Torino expressed skepticism, prompting Ikki to recall a birthday gift from Uncle Mike, a pair of red headphones with blue stripes, as proof of his identity. Mike mentioned that anyone could do that, while Ikki blushed deeply and pointed out that Namurine had a heart-shaped birthmark on her left side. Midnight was surprised, noting that only Izuku knew about it when she had revealed it to him. Ikki then introduced himself as Ikki, and as he observed, his haki flared up, allowing him to dodge a kick from his grandfather. He apologized, but received a playful whack in return, with RG expressing concern over how worried they had been. Ikki offered his apologies, and Stella reminded him that she had warned him this would happen. Endeavor greeted Izuku, and Rei expressed regret that Fuyumi, Natsuo, and Tuyo were not present. Ikki reassured them that it was all right. Mitsuki inquired about what had happened to Ikki, who explained that it was due to the curse of the sword Inetsu that he had found. Izuku showed his neck, indicating that the power was currently sealed, and he could only use a portion of it. 𝗍𝗂 asked how Ikki had discovered the sword, and he recounted escaping from Izumi and her friends, finding a cave by the park, and hearing something calling to him. He touched the sword, which bonded with him, nearly costing him his life until someone saved him. 𝗍𝗂 confirmed that it was all for one, to which Ikki smiled. Aizawa noted that Ikki had met him multiple times. 𝗍𝗂 explained that all for one had provided information that led to the capture of many top villains in Japan and around the world. Mike was curious about what all for one had received in return, and 𝗍𝗂 revealed that it was the promise that Izuku would become a hero. Ikki smiled, acknowledging that all for one had done it all for him. 𝗍𝗂 remarked that fathers often had much to say to their sons, and Ikki smiled again, sharing that his father believed in his potential to become a hero. However, he had something else to share. Aizawa asked what it was, and Ikki revealed that his father's quirk had developed a mind of its own and was trying to take over. He vowed that he would save his father with the help of his brother and sister. 𝗬𝗪𝗏 inquired about his siblings, and Ikki introduced them as Fire Fist and Snake Princess, surprising the group. Stella introduced herself as Ikki's fiancée and showed her engagement ring, prompting Rei and RG to express their approval of Ikki's treatment of her. Ikki shared that Stella had helped mend his broken heart. 𝗍𝗂 encouraged Ikki to share his experiences, and Ikki described his time as wonderful, mentioning his teachers and his best friend Adrian, as well as a rival named 𝗬𝗲𝗏 𝗬𝗏, who wielded a sword that could consume other swords. Stella expressed her dislike for 𝗬𝗏𝗏, explaining that their encounters often resulted in Ikki getting injured. Ikki acknowledged that 𝗬𝗏𝗏 brought out the swordsman within him, which Aizawa noted was a sign of his growth. 𝗍𝗂 observed that Ikki seemed genuinely happy with his new family, and Ikki reassured them that they were still his family. He expressed gratitude for their support, stating that their love had kept him from turning to darkness. GT mentioned wanting to test Ikki's abilities to see how much stronger he had become, and Ikki welcomed the challenge, noting that he felt his training with One for All could be improved. RG commented on the divorce of Toshinori and Inko, to which Ikki admitted he didn't care much about it. RG understood, acknowledging that Ikki might prefer distance from them. Stella suggested they leave, and Ikki agreed, noting that he needed to talk about inheriting the quirk. 𝗍𝗂 asked if they could visit Ikki's home, and Stella confirmed it. Midnight thanked Stella for being there for Izuku, and Stella promised that she would never break his heart, envisioning a future where their children would bring only joy. Ikki agreed wholeheartedly. As they departed, Ikki's family felt relieved and happy to have him back. Stella asked why Ikki hadn't shared everything, and he explained that he wanted to talk to her first. In the next chapter, Ikki and Stella were holding hands as they prepared to leave the school, where they encountered All Might and Inko. All Might addressed Ikki, expressing a longing to speak with him and his girlfriend about something important. Ikki corrected him, stating that Stella was his fiancée. Inko admired the appealing ring, noting its familiarity, and they agreed to talk. They made their way to All Might's office, where Inko served tea. All Might, deflating slightly, revealed that he could no longer use his muscle form due to an injury inflicted by his greatest enemy, All for One. Ikki inquired about this enemy, and All Might explained that All for One had the ability to take, give, or destroy quirks at will. He had lived for over 200 years, possibly using an anti-aging quirk to maintain his youth. All for One had amassed followers to further his cause, but one person had stood against him, his younger brother, who had been fragile and often ill. But he wanted to stop his brother no matter what. However, the older brother didn't want him to get in his way, so he kept him confined. Ikki found this situation awful, and Inko remarked that history was repeating itself, but this time in reverse. Stella noted that the older brother was admitting to his actions. The older brother, not wanting to lose his younger sibling, granted him a quirk, a stockpiling quirk that would allow him to increase his speed and strength. What neither brother realized was that the younger brother already possessed a quirk, a simple ability to pass on his quirk. When the stockpiling quirk and the passing quirk merged, they created One for All. This power had been passed down through generations of heroes, with each wielder cultivating the power and passing it on to the next. As the 8th wielder of the quirk, he wanted Ikki Kurogane to be the next. Ikki was surprised and questioned why he was chosen. The older brother admitted that he had initially wanted to give the quirk to his daughter, Izumi, but she had declined due to past events. The hero commissioner had informed him about Ikki, and he had witnessed his actions during the entrance exams and the quirk assessment with Izuku and Ms. Joke. He believed Ikki could be an excellent wielder. Ikki, feeling the weight of that trust, agreed to take on the responsibility, though he made it clear that his primary motivation was to save his father, not to express gratitude. The older brother then pulled a hair from his head, explaining that Ikki needed to consume it to inherit the quirk. Ikki took the hair and, after drinking some water, commented on the hairspray. The older brother apologized, mentioning that it would take time for Ikki to gain the power and that he wouldn't be teaching him directly. Instead, his 𝗵𝘃𝗃, Grand Torino, would guide him. Ikki thanked him for the trust, and they both left, though the older brother had hoped to speak with Inko, who had already departed. As Ikki and Stella left the school with their dog, Ikki laughed, thinking about how the older brother had unknowingly given the quirk to the son he had neglected. Stella reminded him to maintain his composure, and Ikki acknowledged her concern. Once they arrived home, they prepared dinner together, and Izuku set up a bowl for their dog, Chopper. They all sat down to enjoy their meal, and after their bath, Izuku and Stella changed into their pajamas. As they cuddled in bed, slumber took over. In his dreams, Ikki found himself before a group of people. One of them, who introduced himself as Yoichi, claimed to be his uncle. He also introduced their grandmother, Nana, who expressed her sorrow for what had happened to Ikki due to the actions of her daughter and her students. She assured him that she was now in his corner and would always support him. Yoichi explained that One for All had grown stronger and that Ikki would eventually access the quirks of previous users, but he needed to train and control the power. He advised Ikki not to concentrate all the power in one arm and to find alternative ways to 𝗧𝗪𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧 dark figure emerged, chained and smiling ominously. This figure claimed to be stronger than Ikki's quirk and hinted at a future where he would cause chaos, suggesting that Ikki would soon need his power. Nana vowed to protect her grandson, but the figure ominously stated that Ikki would eventually beg to use his power, threatening to take everything that made Ikki who he was. The chapter concluded, leading into the next one, titled, Battle Training PT-1. Stella woke up and noticed Ikki was missing. She looked around until the door opened, revealing Ikki carrying breakfast. He explained he was trying to do something romantic, and Stella found it sweet. After enjoying their meal, Stella got ready for school, changing into her UA uniform and doing her hair and makeup. They left with Chopper, linking arms as they walked to school. Upon arriving, they entered the building and were greeted by Kirishima, who enthusiastically said good morning. Ikki returned the greeting, and Kirishima expressed his excitement for the day. Stella joined the conversation, and they headed to their classroom as Emi and Aizawa entered. Emi announced it was time to start class, and everyone responded affirmatively. The day proceeded normally, with students actively participating in discussions. As lunch approached, everyone headed to the lunchroom. Kirishima asked Ikki about his food routine, to which Ikki replied that he consumed a lot of meat and protein due to his use of haki, which drained his stamina. They gathered their food, and Izuku dug into a plate full of meat on a stick, eating heartily. Kirishima admired his enthusiasm, while Psycho questioned if Stella found it gross. Stella explained she was used to it because her father and uncle had similar eating habits. The conversation shifted to red hair, with Stella confirming he was indeed a goofball but protective of them. Denki then brought up Ikki's 𝗵𝗃𝗄𝗵𝗃, prompting Ikki to request that the topic be dropped, his demeanor shifting to a more serious tone. Denki quickly apologized, sensing the tension. Setsuna speculated about who their heroic teacher might be, hoping for someone cool. Katsumi believed it would be All Might. Ida questioned how she knew that. Izumi explained that All Might was her father and her mother was extreme. The group reacted with surprise, and Kyoka asked if they were separated. Izumi confirmed they were but insisted they would manage to work things out as co-workers. Ikki expressed doubt about that. Shoka urged everyone to hurry, noting they wouldn't want to be late. Ida agreed, and they finished their food as Izuku ate the last piece of meat on a stick. They made their way to the classroom and took their seats. As the class began to chat, Ikki closed his eyes, taking in his surroundings before opening one eye again. He noted that the teachers had arrived when the doors opened to reveal All Might and Extreme. Inko welcomed everyone to Heroes 101, introducing herself as the Hero Extreme, while All Might greeted the young heroes. They explained that the class would teach them what it truly meant to be a hero. Ikki thought to himself that it was nonsense. Inko elaborated that they would be training in different scenarios to prepare them for various situations. All Might confirmed they would conduct battle training exercises, placing them into teams of heroes versus villains. Inko added that a hero needed their hero costume, and the wall behind them opened to reveal numerous cases hanging with their seat numbers. They walked toward their suitcases, and Ikki heard Izumi whispering a tune, expressing her determination to show him she would be a hero. Ikki dismissed her words as nonsense. They all grabbed their suitcases and headed to the changing rooms. Meanwhile, Inko and All Might waited for the class to arrive. All Might asked Inko if 𝗍𝗍 would allow them to visit his grave. Inko questioned why he was asking her, and All Might explained they hadn't gone yet. He wondered if they could ask 𝗍𝗍 for permission. Inko responded with skepticism, and All Might remarked that she didn't have to be mean, just wanting a normal conversation. Inko agreed to fix things, but All Might interrupted, reminding her that she was also doing that to their son. Inko playfully slapped him, asserting that he was her son, not his. As their class approached, Inko noticed Izumi and called out to her, who thanked her mother. All Might turned around at the sound of footsteps and thought he saw All for One, but it turned out to be Ikki with Stella. Ikki apologized for leaving Chopper with Ms. Joke. Inko announced that since everyone was present, they would assign teams. Ochako asked if they were getting expelled, while Ida inquired about how the teams would be assigned. Aoyama wondered if his cape was flashy. Inko reassured them they wouldn't be expelled and confirmed that Aoyama's cape was indeed sparkling. She explained that the teams would be assigned randomly. Ikki noted that it was a good strategy, explaining that they wouldn't always work with friends or people they knew. Sometimes they would need to collaborate with other heroes they didn't know well, and they had to adapt. Based on what he observed during the assessment with Aizawa and Ms. Joke, this would help them bond. Inko praised his thinking, and Ikki smiled, mentioning that his mother always wanted him to be smart. Inko, Izumi, and All Might shared a moment of surprise at his smile. Inko reminded them they would be working hard. Ikki glanced to the side, and All Might asked if something was the matter. Ikki brushed it off, sensing something unusual about the two people with him. Meanwhile, on the other side of the building, Ace noticed someone and wondered if they had spotted them. The mysterious figure chuckled and suggested they see what Ace's brother could do. Ace expressed a longing for him to perform the Sake Cup with them, and the figure agreed it would be good, hinting at a potential future connection. Back with Ikki and his class, they prepared to start their battle training. Ikki was determined, vowing that this was the beginning of his dream to become a hero, and he wouldn't let anyone ruin that. As the next chapter began, All Might announced the teams, Stella Vermilion and Momo Yaoyorozu versus Itsuka Kendo and Izumi Yagi. Stella encouraged her partner, and Ikki wished her good luck, sharing a brief moment of affection before she left with Momo. Izuku took a seat and closed his eyes. Inko called out to Kurogane, and Ikki responded. Inko mentioned she had heard from her daughter Izumi about his situation. Ikki thought to himself that of course she would tell her. Inko offered protection if he had trouble with his 𝗵𝗲𝗿𝗺 mother, but Ikki insisted he was trained to take care of himself and that he no longer had any connection to her. Inko affirmed that a true mother would love her children no matter what, sharing her own experience of loss and her commitment to redeem herself. Ikki remained skeptical but listened. Meanwhile, Stella and Momo were strategizing for their attack, with Stella using her observation skills to assess the situation. They planned to attack simultaneously. Back in the observation room, Kyoka expressed concern for Momo, but Ikki reassured her that Stella was an expert in tactical plans. Ochako was curious about how Ikki knew that. Ikki explained that it was thanks to Uncle Shanks, who never took on students but had many heroes wanting his training. He elaborated that Shanks only trained those who could keep up, and shared his own intense training experiences that had enhanced his abilities. The group discussed the challenges of training and the advanced skills that only a few could achieve. Ikki noted that he could sense haki in several people around them, indicating the potential for growth and development in their abilities. Back in the battle training, Momo hid behind a wall, spotting Stella above, who signaled her. Stella indicated that she would handle Izumi while Momo would take care of Itsuka. Stella dropped down and summoned her sword, swinging it to force the opposing team to scatter, with Itsuka standing directly in front of Momo. Itsuka attempted to strike Momo with her fist, but Momo deftly sidestepped, leaving them both surprised. Stella recognized Momo's potential, knowing she had what it took. Izumi confronted Stella, stating that her fight was with her. As Izumi tried to punch Stella, Stella caught her hand and stabbed her sword into the ground, igniting her fist with flames. She apologized to her teammate before delivering a powerful punch to Izumi, sending her crashing into the wall. Meanwhile, Momo released sleeping gas, causing Itsuka to fall asleep. Stella then activated the bomb, declaring the hero team the winners. They helped Izumi and Itsuka regain consciousness. Before returning to their starting point, where they were met with applause. Inko asked who the MVP was, and Momo suggested it was 𝗲𝗲𝗄𝗏, but Stella corrected her, stating it was both of them. She explained that Momo had trusted her with the plan and followed it through. Ikki chimed in, emphasizing that a team would fail without trust, and praised Momo for staying strong despite her nerves. He smiled, noting that those who shine the brightest are often the strongest. As the next match was announced, Ikki Kurogane and 𝗬𝗄𝗃 prepared to face Katsumi Shoka and 𝗵𝗃𝗃𝗁𝗏. Shoka affirmed their partnership, and Ikki shared his strategy, explaining that their opponents would expect an attack from above and below. He then picked up Shoka in a bridal carry and used his skywalk ability to kick through a window, entering the building. Katsumi and 𝗵𝗃𝗃 were taken aback, realizing Ikki could fly. In the observation room, Inko noted the similarity between Ikki's ability and 𝗬𝗄𝗃, while Stella remarked on the mysteries surrounding him. Izumi found herself conflicted, wondering why her heart raced for him, despite her past. Back in the fight, Ikki summoned Inetsu, but the creature hesitated to appear. 𝗵𝗃𝗃 struggled with his own shadow, feeling the pressure to give up. As Shoka faced off against Katsumi, Ikki swiftly placed his sword against Katsumi's neck, demanding her to yield. She complied, and Shoka moved to activate the bomb, securing victory for the hero team once again. 𝗵𝗃𝗃 praised Ikki's performance, and they all returned, with Stella joyfully hugging Ikki. Inko announced the end of the training for the day, and the class headed back to change into their uniforms. While changing, Ikki encountered Emi, who invited him over for dinner. He agreed, and as Chopper sat next to Izuku, Ikki rewarded him with a treat that made the little creature wag his tail. Later, at dinner, Stella offered to help Ikki with the cooking, but he insisted he enjoyed it as a way to clear his mind. When the doorbell rang, Stella checked and found Ikki's extended family had arrived. As Ikki set the food on the table, his family expressed their surprise at his cooking skills. He modestly attributed his talent to his mother, while Stella playfully suggested he could rival a top chef. As they all tasted the meal, they were impressed by its deliciousness. Midnight declared it the best fried rice she had ever eaten, while Mike wondered what he had been eating all his life. Ikki received compliments from his family, who appreciated his efforts. They shared laughter and stories, with Ace and Boa joining in, bringing warmth to the gathering. Ikki learned that his family had mixed feelings about naming their son after him, and they discussed the importance of keeping their loved ones safe. Ace then mentioned he wanted Ikki to meet two people he had bonded with after being adopted. Ikki agreed, intrigued by the prospect of meeting them. As the evening continued, Ikki took his grandfather outside to talk privately on the rooftop. He confronted him about Nana Shimura being his grandmother, revealing that she had shared this with him through the power of one for all. His grandfather was surprised, explaining that Inko was unaware of this connection, as Nana had given her up for adoption before she was born. 17 years later, Ikki met Toshinori. He explained that being the 9th user of the quirk allowed him greater synchronization and the ability to use the quirks of previous users with training. GT listened intently, curious about who else Ikki had encountered. Ikki mentioned his uncle, who inspired him to save his father, which motivated him to develop a new mode called full cowling. This mode enabled him to spread the power throughout his body, allowing him to use 20% of it. He suggested to GT that they should spend some time increasing that percentage. Meanwhile, M sat at a noodle stand, enjoying ramen when a stranger approached him. The stranger introduced himself as nobody special, just there for a meal. As they ordered, M learned that today marked the anniversary of the stranger's family's death. AM expressed his condolences, sharing that it was also the anniversary of his stepson's passing, which he felt responsible for. He lamented how he had failed his son, who was quirkless and had faced bullying from others, including his adoptive sister. The stranger listened as M reflected on his past mistakes, feeling like a failure. They shared their ramen in silence for 3 hours, discussing their lives and regrets. The stranger encouraged AM to be tough and keep moving forward, to which AM promised he would try. Afterward, M realized the stranger had vanished. Back with Ikki and GT, they had been training for 2 hours when RG arrived and playfully hit them both. Ikki apologized, and RG insisted it was time to go home, leaving Stella to deal with Ikki's punishment. Ikki jokingly expressed a preference for RG's 𝗬𝗵𝗃𝗲 over Stella's. The next chapter began with Ikki and Stella walking toward school when they encountered the media. As they approached, Izuku unintentionally released a bit of 𝗵𝗃𝗃𝗁, causing the reporters to back off. They entered the school without issue, but the rest of their classmates faced more challenges. Aizawa noted the presence of 𝗵𝗃𝗃𝗁, and Ikki confirmed it. Sensing something ominous, he warned Aizawa about an unwanted guest among the reporters. Aizawa instructed the students to come inside while Ikki scanned the crowd, spotting someone in a hoodie who smiled before disappearing. Ikki suspected this person might know who he was, and he and Stella proceeded to their classroom. As they settled in, Izuku focused on using his observation haki, sensing the sadness and guilt of those around him. He was pulled from his thoughts by Kyoka, who checked on him. The classmates discussed the reporters, with Mina reassuring Izumi that they understood what she was going through. Stella mentioned that Ikki was a knight of justice, who fought against others freely, and Ikki shared his experiences defeating opponents quickly, with only one rival being able to keep up with him. Just then, Aizawa entered with his wife and their son in a stroller. He addressed the class, noting their performance in battle training and encouraging them to improve. Ikki warned that 𝗵𝗃𝗃𝗁 could be dangerous, explaining its ability to bend a person's will and the potential consequences for those with weak wills. The class was shocked by this revelation, and Ida inquired if Ikki had ever used it. Ikki assured them he had control over his power. Emi then announced that it was time to choose a class president and vice president. Aizawa allowed them to choose freely, and the class agreed to vote. Momo and Kyoka tallied the results, and Stella excitedly informed Ikki that he had won. Surprised, Ikki received compliments from his classmates, who believed he was the best choice. Aizawa confirmed that the vice president positions were tied between Yaoyorozu and Vermilion, making them co-vice presidents. As the class continued, Ikki felt a sense of unease, his instincts warning him that something might happen. He tried to focus, but his teachers noticed his distraction. When lunchtime arrived, he left with Stella to get food. As they sat down, Kirishima began to speak, but Ikki suddenly sensed something as the door opened and people entered, feeling an unfamiliar presence. Ikki instructed Stella to manage the crowd while he took care of something important. He vanished. Inko and Aizawa noticed the front gate opening, and reporters rushed inside, heading straight for them. Ikki reappeared in front of the reporters, commanding them to leave immediately. The pressure he exuded sent them fleeing in panic. He remarked on their foolishness for allowing a villain to approach them, which only heightened their fear. M observed Ikki and, for a brief moment, felt the presence of his arch-nemesis, All for One. Inko recognized the familiar aura reminiscent of Hisashi. Ikki then asked Aizawa about the location with the lowest security. Aizawa informed him it was the record room. Ikki held onto Aizawa's arm and they vanished together. Upon arrival, they encountered a figure shrouded in mist. Aizawa ordered him to stop, but the mist man cursed under his breath, glancing at Izuku and then back at Aizawa. Ikki felt an inexplicable sadness emanating from the mist man and questioned his identity. The mist man cryptically stated that they would soon find out before disappearing. Aizawa expressed frustration, while Ikki confided in his uncle about the sadness he sensed from the Mist Man, noting it began when he saw Aizawa. Aizawa found this strange. The rest of the staff arrived, and they received an explanation of the situation. Inko checked on Ikki, who reassured her that he was fine. He then turned to Nizu, inquiring about upcoming plans. Nizu mentioned the USJ, a location to manage their quirks, but Aizawa suggested canceling it due to the circumstances. Nizu countered that it would raise suspicion and informed them that the Big Three, along with 𝗵𝘃𝗵𝗃, Midnight, and Present Mike, would accompany them to the USJ. He also requested to speak with Kurogane privately. After the staff left, Nizu turned to Ikki, acknowledging that he was aware of the traitor among them. Ikki thanked him for his understanding. Meanwhile, in an underground lab, a man sat, retreating into his mind to confront Hisashi, who was chained up. All for one taunted Hisashi, claiming he would eliminate Ikki, leaving Hisashi alone with him, the one who truly loved him. Hisashi declared 𝗧𝗄𝗃 was sick and vowed to escape. 𝗧𝗄𝗃 dismissed his threat, returning to the present with a sinister plan. Back at the school, Ikki and Stella prepared for their day. As they walked, Ikki remained tense, but Stella held his hand, calming him. Upon entering the school, they encountered 𝗵𝘃𝗏. Ikki reminded him they were alone, and 𝗵𝘃𝗏 confirmed he was aware of the situation. Ikki requested to handle things if his father showed up, and 𝗵𝘃𝗏 agreed. Izuku suggested they move on to avoid raising suspicion, and they parted ways. In the classroom, Ikki closed his eyes, focusing when he suddenly felt a presence linked to One for All. A fragile man with white hair appeared before him, revealing he had seen Izuku's memories and understood his suffering. He urged Izuku to save his brother and, if 𝗧𝗄𝗃 proved too powerful, to end him. Another figure emerged, bold and wearing goggles, introducing himself as Daigoro Banjo. He explained that his quirk, Black Whip, was both offensive and defensive, requiring concentration and control. He reassured Ikki that he had the strength to wield it, as it would be more powerful in his hands than in the past users. As Ikki began to disappear, Banjo encouraged him to wake up and use his newfound abilities. Ikki awoke in the classroom, where everyone noticed him. Aizawa and Emi entered just as Ikki extended his arm, closing his eyes as his skin rippled, revealing something emerging. The class gasped, and Izumi recalled her father's information about previous Black Whip users. Ikki commanded Black Whip to calm down, successfully reshaping it into an axe, feeling satisfied with his progress. Aizawa instructed him to sit down, and Ikki complied, apologizing. Stella, surprised by the display, planned to discuss it with him later. As classes resumed, lunchtime arrived, and Stella brought homemade bentos for them to share. She pressed Ikki to explain his experience. He recounted meeting Banjo, who informed him he needed more power to save or confront his father. Stella listened intently, and Ikki expressed confidence in his abilities. They enjoyed their meal together, sharing a quiet moment before returning to their seats. As the rest of the class returned, they were greeted by Inko, Aizawa, and several staff members, including 𝗵𝘃𝗏, Midnight, and Present Mike. 𝗵𝘃𝗏 playfully acknowledged Ikki, who teased her about a past encounter with his uncle. She had come to France to challenge him but had been thoroughly defeated. Stella noted 𝗵𝘃𝗏's obvious admiration for Ikki's uncle. 𝗵𝘃𝗏 blushed and told everyone to be quiet. Aizawa explained that all might was delayed. Ikki thought to himself that things were still the same. Inko noted that they had the number 2 hero and the 8th hero with them for extra security during their trip to the USJ. Ida asked about 3 students, and Aizawa confirmed they were the strongest students at UA: Mirio Togata, Nijire Hado, and Tamaki Amikiji. Mirio expressed his surprise, while Nijire found someone cute, and Tamaki admitted he felt scared. Inko mentioned they would be with them during the USJ training. Ikki left with the boys to change clothes and then spoke up. He explained to Kirishima that the energy he manipulated allowed him to create WHPs, and with more concentration, he could turn them into weapons. Shiro thought it was cool, and Aoyama agreed. Denki asked what they would do at the USJ, and Ikki replied that they would focus on better controlling their quirks. After finishing changing, Ikki saw Aizawa and mentioned that Ace and Hancock would be on standby just in case. Aizawa acknowledged this, and Ikki asked if he could handle any strong opponents. Aizawa agreed, and Ikki referred to Aizawa as Dad. The rest of the class arrived at the bus, accompanied by the heroes. Psycho asked what was next, and Ida instructed everyone to board the bus in an orderly manner, assigning seats. Ikki, as class president, reminded everyone to behave and follow orders, warning that disobedience would result in remedial lessons with Aizawa. Denki doubted Ida could enforce that, but Aizawa confirmed he could. Once on the bus, Ikki sat next to Stella, holding her hand and hoping everything would go well. Tsuyu, speaking her mind, asked Ikki what he would do if he met his biological mother, stepfather, and stepsister. Ikki replied that he would leave, as they would not be a part of his life. Tsuyu understood. 𝗵𝗃𝗲 commented on Izuku's growth, criticizing Inko and Toshinori for not recognizing his potential. Inko expressed her determination not to lose another child and planned to speak to Kurogane about giving his mother a chance at redemption. As they arrived at the USJ, everyone exited the bus and saw 13, who greeted them. She explained they would train to better handle their quirks, and Ida questioned her, noting that some of them already had control. 13 clarified that while some did, others did not, and explained her quirk, which could be dangerous if not handled carefully. Izumi and her friends flinched at the seriousness of her words. Inko agreed with 13, emphasizing the importance of the training. Ikki stepped forward, drawing his sword and warning that they had company. A portal opened, and villains emerged, with one of them introducing himself as Tamura Shigaraki, the leader of the League of Villains, who intended to kill All Might and take Ikki hostage. Inko fiercely declared that they would not get near her student. Shigaraki responded with determination, and the villains launched their attack. Aizawa urged everyone to fight, while 𝗵𝗃𝗲 expressed her eagerness for battle. Ikki instructed Ida to leave and inform the staff of their situation, insisting he follow orders. Ida reluctantly agreed and left, but a villain attempted to attack him. Izuku used his black WHP to grab the villain and toss him aside, allowing Ida to escape. Kurogane, another villain, called for Ikki to come with him, but Ikki refused. Kurogane prepared to use his quirk, but Ikki, Stella, and a few others managed to dodge, while the rest of the students were sent away. Setsuna demanded to know where Kurogane had taken them. Kurogane responded vaguely, and Ikki realized that Izumi, Katsumi, and Shoka had been transported away. He quickly assessed Kurogane, then vanished and kicked him back. Kurogane acknowledged Ikki's cleverness, revealing that his 𝗵𝗃𝗲 was interested in him, especially because of his alias. Itsuka asked what Kurogane meant, and Ikki promised to explain later. Kirishima wanted to take on Kurogane, believing the teachers needed Ikki's help. Ikki agreed, and Stella insisted on joining him. As they left, Kurogane attempted to stop them, but Kirishima intervened. Ikki and Stella assisted Inko against the villains, with Inko urging Ikki to leave as they were after him. Ikki apologized, but Shigaraki announced that the main boss, 𝗵𝗃𝗲, had arrived. 𝗵𝗃𝗲, a giant man, stood before them. Ikki expressed disbelief, thinking 𝗵𝗃𝗲 was dead. Shigaraki revealed that they had retrieved 𝗵𝗃𝗲's body and turned him into a mindless zombie. Ikki called Shigaraki a monster and prepared to attack, but 𝗵𝗃𝗲 blocked his strike and retaliated with a powerful kick that sent Ikki flying. 𝗵𝗃𝗲 was ordered to protect Shigaraki, and Ikki pleaded with him to remember who he was. Stella echoed Ikki's plea, but Shigaraki insisted 𝗵𝗃𝗲 was no longer himself and commanded him to kill. 𝗵𝗃𝗲 prepared to attack, but Ikki intercepted 𝗵𝗃𝗲's strike, sustaining a minor injury. He explained to 𝗵𝗃𝗲 that 𝗵𝗃𝗲 was much stronger, with a quirk that could teleport and heal injuries, but he absorbed all the damage. Aizawa called out to Ikki, who insisted he could handle the situation. Shigaraki taunted them, hinting at a shocking revelation about Ikki. Inko demanded to know what he meant, but before Shigaraki could respond, Shoka, Izumi, and Katsumi appeared, attempting to attack him. 𝗵𝗃𝗲 blocked their strikes, sending them crashing to the ground. Ikki thought to himself that they were reckless. Stella urged 𝗵𝗃𝗲 to remember her, and he weakly called out her name. Stella reassured him, but Shigaraki commanded 𝗵𝗃𝗲 to obey him. As 𝗵𝗃𝗲 prepared to attack Stella, Ikki activated full cowling and kicked Kuma back, initiating a fierce battle. They exchanged blows while Stella helped Inko and the teachers recover. More villains continued to appear, and Inko expressed her frustration. Just then, the door opened, revealing a furious All Might. Izumi and Inko watched as All Might confronted the villains. All Might swiftly took down their foes while Stella fought valiantly alongside him. Shirogaki announced that all the players were present, and All Might demanded to know what he wanted. Shirogaki revealed that his emissary, 𝗬𝗏, had plans for All Might. All Might refused to listen, but Shirogaki taunted him with the mention of Izuku, All Might's son. Inko, worried for her child, asked about him, and Shirogaki claimed that Izuku was not dead, shocking All Might, Inko, and Izumi. Izumi insisted that they had seen his body, but Shirogaki dismissed their claims, saying it was a trick. He revealed that Izuku was alive and had been close to them all along, going by the name Ikki Kurogane. This revelation stunned them, and Inko was devastated. Ikki, now aware of the situation, confronted Shirogaki, who confirmed that 𝗬𝗏 knew about him. Inko, in tears, pleaded for the truth, while Ikki urged her to stop crying, stating that it wouldn't help anyone. Suddenly, Aizawa attempted to intervene, but Ikki pushed him aside. Kuma attacked, unleashing an energy blast that struck Ikki, leaving a hole in his chest. As Ikki fell, Stella rushed to his side, horrified, while Inko cried out. Endeavor, enraged, launched an attack against Kuma. All Might vowed to make Kuma suffer as Izumi, Katsumi, and Shoka fell to their knees in despair. Shirogaki opened another portal, summoning 2 towering 𝗏𝗏s designed to combat All Might. The heroes and students fought back, but the villains were gaining the upper hand. Stella, witnessing the chaos, cried out for Ikki to help her. In a void, Ikki felt the emotions of his friends and their fear. He heard Stella's plea and resolved to rise again, empowered by a mysterious voice that offered him strength. Determined to protect Stella, Ikki stood up, clad in strange armor and a skull mask, shocking everyone, including Shirogaki. As Ikki unleashed a powerful shockwave, Stella was caught by Kyoka and Momo. They wondered what had happened to him, and Stella explained that he had unsealed the curse of the sword. Ikki roared, his conqueror's haki overwhelming the battlefield. Ace and Boa, fighting nearby, realized they needed to hurry. Shirogaki, panicking, ordered the 𝗏𝗏s to attack Ikki. Ikki remained calm, swinging his sword and effortlessly cutting a 𝗏𝗏 in half. Meanwhile, 𝗵𝗃𝗃 felt paralyzed with fear, and 𝗵𝗃𝗃 sensed danger. Stella searched for her hero outfit, recalling that she had a seal to contain Ikki's power. Katsumi and Izumi argued, but Inko insisted they focus on the battle. Aizawa expressed regret, while 13 tried to defend him. Shirogaki trembled in fear, questioning Ikki's humanity. Ace and Boa raced toward the USJ, determined to help. Back at the scene, Shoka and Katsumi debated Ikki's identity, while Stella explained the curse of the sword that had bonded with him. As Ikki fought, he slashed Kuma, who coughed up BLD and thanked him before collapsing. Ikki then approached Shirogaki, grabbing him by the throat and slamming him down. He broke Shirogaki's legs, causing him to scream in pain. Just as Ikki aimed his sword at Shirogaki's neck, All Might intervened, pleading with him to stop. Ikki struggled against his father, but All Might warned him that this path would lead to the loss of his humanity. In a moment of rage, Ikki stabbed All Might, causing him to bleed. Izumi, Katsumi, and Shoka rushed to save Ikki, but he continued toward All Might. 𝗵𝗃𝗃 feared for All Might's life. Stella stepped in front of Ikki, urging him to return to her. She needed him to come back. Ikki was determined to protect Stella, vowing to keep her safe. Just then, Ace appeared behind Ikki and grabbed him, while Boa struck him in the face. As the mask shattered, Ikki fell to the ground, and Stella rushed toward them. Ace remarked that they had made it in time, but Boa disagreed. Inko unleashed a powerful attack, and Ace reminded everyone to remain civil, emphasizing that they were all children of their father. At that moment, the doors opened to reveal Nizu and the staff, while Kurogane seized Shirogaki and departed. Nizu instructed the heroes to capture only the villains. Stella held an unconscious Ikki as Endeavor approached them. Enji asked if Ikki was alive, and Ace confirmed he was, but Boa warned that the curse mark was beginning to spread. Enji inquired if there was any way to reverse the curse, but Ace admitted they did not know. Frustrated, Enji decided they needed to take Ikki to the hospital, and Aizawa suggested they go to Recovery Girl. As they prepared to leave, Izumi attempted to speak, but Inko stopped her, insisting they focus on taking her father to the hospital. The class had questions, but they would have to wait for answers from their teachers and from Ikki Kurogane. In the next chapter, titled USJ Aftermath, Ikki found himself in a dark void, floating aimlessly with a dark figure looming behind him. The figure urged him to wake up. When Ikki did, he questioned where he was, and the figure revealed that he was inside its blade. Ikki recognized the figure as the monster residing within it. The figure claimed to be the one who forged and wielded the blade, explaining that it intervened in Ikki's fight to prevent his death, as he had tapped into its power for Stella. The figure warned Ikki that he would face powerful enemies, but Ikki insisted he could defeat them without help. The figure challenged him, asking if he would allow those he cared about to perish. Ikki firmly stated he would not. Suddenly, Ikki saw Banjo and others, the previous users of the power, standing nearby. Banjo expressed concern for Ikki, and 𝗎𝗍𝗁 assured him that he would save his father. Banjo remarked that Ikki was more interesting than he had anticipated, while 𝗎𝗍𝗁 informed Ikki that he was about to wake up, having healed his wounds but leaving a scar. Ikki awoke in the middle of the night, finding himself in his grandmother's office, bandages wrapped around his chest. He noticed Stella sleeping in the next bed and felt relieved that she was safe. As he got up and approached the mirror, he saw the curse mark on his neck. He lamented his bad luck, but was suddenly hugged from behind by Stella. Turning to her, he found her crying into his chest, and he wrapped his arms around her. Stella expressed her feelings, and Ikki acknowledged the pain Kuma had endured, knowing he was in a better place now. They shared a heartfelt moment, looking into each other's eyes and sharing a kiss. Stella expressed her fear of never kissing him again, to which Ikki reassured her that she always would. They cuddled together, and Ikki asked if anyone had harmed her. Stella recounted how All Might and Izumi had tried to interrogate her, but Inko had intervened. In a flashback, Stella had been waiting for news about Ikki when All Might grabbed her arm, demanding she stay away from his son. Izumi had slapped her, insisting she leave Ikki alone. Just as All Might was about to drag her away, Inko stepped in, defending Stella and asserting that she was the one Kurogane truly loved. She warned that if Stella left, Kurogane would be unhappy. Stella declared her love for Ikki, and Inko removed All Might and Izumi, allowing Stella to wait for news about Ikki. Back in the present, Ikki acknowledged Stella's growth, and they both fell asleep in each other's arms, waking up the next day. Recovery Girl and Gran Torino observed them together, expressing their happiness for Ikki. Gran Torino mentioned their hope to see Ikki's future children, while Recovery Girl reassured him that they were researching a way to counter the curse. As they woke, Recovery Girl playfully hit Ikki on the head, reminding him that her love was stronger than anything. Stella greeted them, and Gran Torino introduced Chopper, who excitedly greeted Ikki. Gran Torino noted that Stella had informed him about the fifth user and his quirk. Ikki realized he had better synchronization with One for All, allowing him to use the quirks of previous users. Gran Torino warned him that his training would become more intense, and Ikki welcomed the challenge. Meanwhile, Shanks, Mihawk, and Sirius were examining a map of another sword, with Sirius questioning Shanks about their next move. Shanks acknowledged that the sword could remove the curse of Inetsu. Sirius insisted they needed to find it, while Mihawk expressed concern that the sword had disappeared and they had no idea who possessed it. Sirius reiterated the urgency, emphasizing the need to locate it before the curse consumed Ikki. Mihawk agreed, mentioning that Robin had hired someone to assist in the search. Inko stood outside UA with Izumi, Katsumi, and Shoka. She expressed her doubts about Ikki's reaction to their presence, especially after the incident with Vermilion. Reassured her that Ikki would be grateful. Izumi added that Ikki was projecting his feelings onto her, and Katsumi believed that once he saw her, he would leave Vermilion behind. Shoka agreed with this sentiment, Inko decided to stay behind as the others entered the school, heading toward the RG office. Upon opening the door, they found the office empty. They searched the school but could not locate Ikki. Eventually, they arrived at Nizu's office, where they found Ikki with Chopper, Stella, Nizu, Aizawa, and Emi. As they approached, Ikki raised his hand and used a black WHP to catch them. They noticed Emi's son in his stroller, with Chopper standing guard beside him. Em addressed Ikki as son, but Ikki quickly corrected him, stating that he was not his father. Katsumi professed her love for Ikki, offering forgiveness for his past actions, but Ikki coldly rejected her, expressing his hatred for all of them. Nizu, observing the tension, suggested popcorn, while Aizawa agreed. Em confronted Ikki about faking his death, to which Ikki replied that it was to escape from them and the pain they caused him. He revealed that since Hisashi had faked his death, he had been taken in by people who truly cared for him. Izumi attempted to express her care for Ikki, but he dismissed her, stating that she did not genuinely care. He then revealed a shocking secret about Hisashi being all for one, which stunned Em. Ikki noted the irony of the situation, explaining that he had learned much about One for All, including a secret that even Am's MSTR did not know. He revealed that Izumi was not his sister or Inko's daughter, but rather the adopted daughter of Nana Shimura, who had given her up to protect her. Am was left in disbelief, realizing the implications of Ikki's words. Ikki continued, explaining that when a previous user of One for All dies, a part of them remains with the quirk. He leaned in closer, revealing that Nana had witnessed how Am treated him and had regretted choosing him as a successor. Am cried out in agony, and Izumi expressed her dismay at Ikki's cruelty. Ikki acknowledged the pain he had caused but was interrupted by a sudden shift in his demeanor as he returned to normal. He thanked Inko for her support and acknowledged the progress she had made. Inko expressed her longing to protect those who made Ikki happy. Ikki offered her one chance to prove she could be forgiven, suggesting they could rebuild their relationship. Inko reminded him that Robin would always be his mother, leading to a tense exchange where she vowed to start from scratch. As they prepared to leave, Inko stopped them, asking Ace and Boa to relay a message of gratitude to Hisashi. Ace agreed, and Inko thanked them, noting the connection she felt with Ikki. As they departed, Shoka and Katsumi attempted to follow, but Inko urged them not to disrupt Ikki's newfound happiness. Izumi pleaded with her mother to see the truth, but Inko remained firm in her stance. Meanwhile, Ikki, Ace, and Boa were on their way to meet their families. Ikki's observation hockey revealed a glimpse of a future where he and Stella were holding someone with a horn and red eyes, stirring a protective instinct within him. Ikki anticipated the challenges of revealing his existence to others, but he felt a sense of calm regarding Inko. Stella noted that Inko had gained some common sense, while Ikki acknowledged that his father had opened her eyes. As they approached the docks, they spotted a ship, signaling the arrival of their family. Ace was not present. Luffy was confused about the newcomers. Sabo reminded him that Ace had a younger brother. Luffy protested that he was the little brother, but Sabo explained that Ace could have another brother. Ikki introduced himself as Sabo and Koala from the Revolutionary Army, a group dedicated to addressing global issues. Koala affirmed Ikki's expertise, and Ikki mentioned that Uncle Shanks had spoken about Luffy. Luffy was excited to hear that Ikki knew Shanks. Luffy introduced his crew, Brook, who greeted with a cheerful laugh, Frankie, who expressed his pleasure in meeting Ikki, Usopp, who said hello, Nami, who blushed and greeted him, and Chopper, who introduced himself. Stella hugged Ikki and called him adorable, prompting Chopper to clarify that he was not a doctor. Luffy then introduced Sanji and Zoro, who commented on Ikki's sword, Inetsu. Ikki responded that his sword was named Emma, and as they touched their swords, both calmed down. Zoro warned Ikki that his sword was consuming his humanity, to which Ikki admitted he was aware. Zoro expressed his longing to see Ikki's sword in action, and Ikki challenged him to name the time and place. Boa introduced her sisters, Sonia and Mari, who greeted Ikki. Ikki introduced himself and his fiancée, Stella, who complimented Nami's outfit. Meanwhile, Inko was in the teacher's lounge, where AM was knocked out on the floor. Nizu entered with a serious expression and mentioned a problem regarding Kurogane. Inko referred to Kurogane as her son, and Nizu explained the situation following the USJ incident. Izumi walked with Katsumi and Shoka, feeling sad about learning that Izuku was alive but had distanced himself from them. He had a new family and was engaged. They encountered Fuyumi, who confirmed that everyone knew about Izuku. Shoka insisted that they should leave him alone, as he was happy, while Fuyumi urged them to respect his wishes. Back with Ikki and Zoro, they discussed the curse associated with Ikki's sword. Sabo asked to join the conversation, and Luffy expressed his excitement about the situation. Ace warned that it was serious, explaining that the sword was taking away Ikki's humanity. Ikki clarified that the sword had a mind of its own and granted him power, but each use of the armor spread the curse. Ace mentioned they were searching for a way to stop the curse, but Zoro suggested a potential solution. He recalled a story from his 𝗵𝘃𝗲 about a twin sword that could nullify the curse, although it wouldn't completely eliminate it. Ikki asked for the name of the sword, and Stella urged Zoro to share. Zoro could not remember the name but described it as a completely white katana. Ikki sensed that his sword was aware of the twin sword and decided to communicate with it. Stella expressed determination to find the sword, and Ikki agreed. Luffy suggested they explore the sea, while Sabo planned to inform Dragon, who could assist them. Ikki appreciated their support, and Luffy declared that since Ikki was Ace's brother, he was also part of their family. Sabo proposed a toast to their brotherhood, and they raised their cups, pledging to remain brothers no matter what. Ikki felt a sense of belonging, while Ace noted the sting of the moment. Luffy laughed, and Mari remarked on Ikki being a nice brother. Sonya agreed and Boa thanked them. Ikki and Stella decided it was time to head home, as Ikki needed to train with his grandfather. They left the port, using their sky walk to return home, where Ikki prepared dinner for them. Meanwhile, All For One was plotting his next move, vowing to break Hisashi by targeting his children. Hisashi countered that his kids were strong and would defeat AFO, even if it meant sacrificing himself. AFO remained confident in his plans for world domination. In a forest in Japan, a woman sat beside a white sword, sensing the presence of her twin brother, Inetsu. She expressed concern about the user transforming, and Iketsu warned that if he took her, she would face dire consequences. She assured him she would not let that happen. Iketsu praised her bravery, and she acknowledged the risks involved. As the chapter concluded, Ikki and Stella returned to school in their UA uniforms, ignoring the whispers about Ikki's curse mark. They entered their classroom, where their classmates awaited. Ida mistakenly called Ikki by his last name, prompting Ikki to assert his identity. Aizawa entered with his wife, and the students settled down. Emi welcomed them back and announced upcoming training for the sports festival, despite concerns about the timing given their recent battle with villains. Ikki passionately argued for the importance of the festival, emphasizing the need to show the world and the media that they would continue to grow stronger. Aizawa supported Ikki's perspective, recognizing the opportunity for the students to gain notice from heroes. With the media and the public losing trust in UA to protect their students, a decision was made to discuss moving everyone into dorms during the 2-week training leading up to the sports festival. The teachers planned to visit the students' parents during the first week, and by the second week, the students could move in. Emi expressed her concerns, noting that as heroes, when they do well, they often attract the attention of villains. Ikki, filled with excitement, eagerly asked if he had received a bounty. Aizawa confirmed that he had, and Ikki's joy was palpable. He recalled Uncle Shanks telling him that if heroes weren't making villains angry, they weren't doing their job properly. Aizawa revealed Ikki's bounty was $250,000, prompting Izuku to celebrate, eager to share the news with his friends. However, Stella quickly reminded him that this was not something to be overly happy about. Izumi, noticing the curse mark around Ikki's neck and lower face, reflected on how, despite this burden, he still aspired to be a hero. Aizawa announced an independent study, and Ikki, looking at Stella, expressed his pride in their bond. Setsuna teased them about their relationship, to which Ikki explained that their fathers had always celebrated their achievements, especially when new bounties were announced. As lunchtime approached, students from other classes entered, and Ikki, sensing trouble, asked if they needed assistance. 𝗵𝗄𝗵𝗺, a rival, questioned how Ikki had received a bounty before him. Ikki confidently stated that it was because he was better. When 𝗵𝗄 attempted to use his quirk on Ikki, he was met with a terrifying sight, causing him to back away in fear. Hitoshi Shinsho then declared war on Ikki and his classmates, claiming that if one of the support corps students won the sports festival, they would replace one of them. Ikki challenged Hitoshi, emphasizing that true strength comes from hard work, not luck. He defended his classmates, particularly 𝗬𝗎𝗄𝗧, whose quirk was often underestimated. The tension in the air was palpable as Ikki declared he was ready for a challenge, leaving the other students feeling intimidated. Afterward, Ikki and Stella made their way to the cafeteria to grab lunch. Ikki suggested they go on a date, and Stella happily agreed, both feeling a sense of adventure ahead. Meanwhile, their families watched from a distance, proud of their growth and eager to visit them. The chapter concluded with anticipation for the next events, including a date and snowball attraction, followed by the introduction of the dorms.